All right, King Killers, we're covering chapters 24 through 25 of the Way of Kings in this episode. We cover what happens when Dalinar and Adolin stop being polite and start getting real. And then we get a flashback to young Cal as Roshone becomes his new city lord. We also talk about men who pull their pants up to their nipples, why the Alethi started wearing teddies, and we figure out the perfect job for Kaladin. So sit back and enjoy.
I got a scope zoomed in on the sniper in the trees. I'ma surround if a devil wanna flee. I got a scope zoomed in on the sniper in the trees.
All right, welcome back to the King Killer Podcast. I'm Dan. Got with me the Windy Bird of podcast hosts.
You fucking asshole.
Tim, what's going on?
What a jerk. What a jerk, man.
What do you mean?
No.
She's a character on Ozark. It's a great show.
It is a great show. She is not an endearing character.
Well, I know, but that's why she reminds me of you.
Real nice. You're a jerk. You're a jerk. That's not nice.
I don't get it. See,
That's
this is why
mean.
you sound just like Windy. Just like Windy.
No. That's not,
Marty
that's
Bird
not.
over here laying down facts, and then you're over here coming in with the drama.
It is a great show. It is definitely a great show.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Ozark. Thought it was a dope little run they had. Disappointed it's over.
Now that I think about it, I haven't finished it yet, so, be cool. But as I think about it, I'm trying to think what character I would like to be, and
None of them sound
kind
appealing.
of rough.
Really.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's kind of rough across the board for everybody. Tuck has it kind of okay, I guess. Maybe.
Yeah.
He seems happy, somewhat at least.
Yeah. It's it's a rough one. I don't know. None of them sound like none of them are living lives that sound super, super appealing to me. It had to be one of the side characters that you barely see.
Yeah, but even them, it's everybody's collateral damage.
Yeah.
Everyone, it's like a typhoon rolls through, man. Everybody's getting caught up in it. It's
got
brutal.
the birds and what's the other family's name? The Langmores.
The Snells.
The Langmores.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mainly a story of the birds and the Langmores, it's a dope show. If you haven't watched it, you should check it out. But we are going to talk about the Stormlight archive in this episode instead of Ozark, even though it seemed like we were going in a different direction. Psyched you out.
Boom.
We are going to still talk about the show we've been talking about the previous episodes.
That was a good U-turn. You psyched me out. I thought it was just going to be all Ozark. I had all this content ready off the top of my dome.
Yeah, I told Tim he took 6 hours worth of notes, psyched him out.
Watched every episode.
Yeah.
That's all I did this week, man. I had to take off work.
I know I gave it in the latest, in the update of the previous episode, but we got our continuing tournament, the 2022 top fantasy duo to try to take over the world. That's still going on Twitter. By the time this comes out, we'll be pretty well into it. So, you're probably getting close to the finals at this point, I would guess, when this episode comes out. So be on, if you haven't been paying attention, head over to our Twitter and follow me religiously and make sure that you know everything I'm doing at all times.
Whoa. Are you giving that type of, you're giving updates constantly on bathroom breaks? And
that's how I use Twitter. I let everybody know what I'm doing at all times of the day.
There are people that do that. I see that every now and then.
My arm just fell asleep, so I turned my position, and now I'm laying on my other side. Just letting you guys know.
Oh, so you're okay. So you're real thorough. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there are some people that do that. So I guess you're.
That's
one
how
of them.
you remember when, that was what people would do on Facebook. They would write their name, or it would be their name, and then you would just write at Waffle House, or that was your post. People would put it would just have
verbs,
Dan, and then under that it would be is at Waffle House, and people just put like stuff they're doing or feeling, or like Dan is in a bad mood today.
It was a lot of, I remember it was a lot of is listening to blank, and it was a lot of feeling.
Yeah,
Sad
the
today.
listening to music, that was big on MySpace. Music
True.
was real big on MySpace.
For me, I like shit like that because I can find new music by people posting stuff. You feeling sad today? Person I don't know? Not doing much for me, to be honest. Oh, you want some sympathy from strangers? Yeah.
Hey, well, you just kind of brought me down. You brought me down with you. Thanks a lot, buddy. I was having a really good day, and now I know that you're having a bad day. It kind of lowers the fun of my day. Thanks a lot.
You take resentment.
Yeah.
I like it. Yeah. Okay. Get defensive.
Go real hard into the paint after anybody who posts anything that has any kind of impact on you.
Yeah, we kind of touched on that the other day, like getting emotional when a show comes on.
Yeah,
Get really angry at the show. The
Making
TV.
me feel things.
Do the same thing with people online. Don't do that. How dare you? How dare you make me feel things?
But let's get an update on where you're at in the books.
So I'm in that section of the Words of Radiance where things really start ramping up, it seems. And I didn't make a whole lot of progress from the last episode, but I did get a big whale of a chapter, it seems, where they're now full on at the tower, the Shattered Plains, with I guess it's the tower. Anyway, Parshindi's now, they're all in lockstep, red eyes, fucking lightning, whatever. I haven't figured out what it is yet, but they're basically describing it like it's lightning coming down from the sky, which shoots straight into fucking the Alethi soldiers and everything. And it seems like it's working through the Parshindi. It's pretty wild. But Adolin, they can still kill him. So he kills him, and then it comes out like a spren, right? The red kind of comes out, goes up in the sky. So there's some crazy shit going on, that's for sure. And what's his face? I always forget his name. The Parshindi that was in Bridge 4.
Oh, Relang.
Yeah, he freaks the fuck out. He's like, don't let them finish this song. Whatever you do, don't let them fucking finish this song. So Dalinar's like, attack. And everybody's like, you sure about this shit? Because that wasn't their plan. The plan was have them come, but he fucking goes full bore. It's intense, man. It's pretty badass. The way it's written is great. And then kind of the last part was Shallan was I don't know, she was looking like a big, she was working on like a big old map of the
She's
whole
trying
area.
to find Urithiru. She's trying to find the door. And yeah.
But I don't remember how that part of the chapter played out.
I know where it goes. I just don't know what you've read. So.
I don't think I finished it. I think I had to end it. So I basically just got the big battle that was coming. It plays out really intense. I mean, it's great. Like the wind is hitting them, and then it's hitting like the like Dalinar as they go into their song, and their song hits like fucking a Metallica concert or something. Like when they start going into it, it's like boom, and they get blasted with it. Hey man, that could be so dope on a show, like done the right way, Yeah, fucking badass, man.
Yeah, it's cool and also like they have no idea what's really happening. They're like, be careful stepping in the water because they don't understand why there's people getting electrocuted, but they don't understand the concept of electrocution. But they understand like stay the fuck away from the water when they're shooting that lightning.
Yeah, it's really intense, and it's very different. I mean, the whole, because it sounded like before it seems like there's like a charge, because they were talking about how the eyes weren't just red, they were glowing, and then it was like there's something on their hands. So it was like there was glowing on their hands as well. So it almost sounds like, to me, thinking through it again, like it could be almost like they're literally charged, and then it hits and boom. But it didn't seem like they could.
Well,
they could perfectly control it either.
They are creating the lightning. And the lightning is coming from them, and you have the ones that are singing. They're just concentrating on singing, but then they have other people that are, they're all singing, but when they get attacked, they start fighting, and then when they start fighting, they're using lightning. But yeah, they don't have great control over it. Like they're fucking hitting themselves and shit.
Yeah. There's a part where they're like surprised it went downward into the ground.
Yeah.
And they have a look of surprise, and then Adolin comes in and he's still tearing them up. And so that was as normal. Then there's a loud, a reaction by the Alethi troops, like, we can kill them. They can still die.
Yeah.
They're like, let's fucking get them, so they would kind of rush in. So yeah.
It gets intense. Like you're coming up into some great shit with Kaladin's coming up, and then the stuff with Shallan at the end, Dalinar at the end, like those. There's some really, really cool aspects on the way he kind of wraps up all these storylines.
Oh yeah, that's the thing. That Kaladin's basically, he's just been walking around. Oh yeah, he's dealing with the after effects of the fact that he was spoiled with the Stormlight because he would heal.
Yeah.
Now he's walking around with a real injury and he's not healing. And he's moving around with a cane, still walking around, probably causing himself more damage than actually being able to heal, but he can't, it's a combination of like he can't help it, he's just not going to sit around, and he's used to healing, and now he's kind of having to come to grips with the fact that he's not anymore.
Yeah, not healing and no sill.
Yeah, he's got some problems, man. Now he's getting abandoned on top of everything else,
Yeah,
his depression and all that.
You're right at the part where it's about to really ramp up towards, the rest of the way. It's, I mean, you're getting close to the peak of, it's like, this is like, it started ramping up. Now it's going to another level, and then hitting a peak here pretty soon.
Those are my least favorite parts. So I'll probably stop.
Yeah. I prefer an author like build a crescendo, but like right as the crescendo is like getting to the point where it's about to really start ramping up, just kill it, stop it dead in its track.
Yeah.
And then
I don't it's terrible.
Slow everything down, pull everything back, make it so nothing big happens.
You don't want things to come together. You don't want resolution.
No.
I mean, that's always terrible. It's the cheap way out when you just, have things come together and get resolution.
Yeah, I don't want any resolution, no answers, no resolution. I don't want the end to connect to the beginning and middle.
I mean, and think about it. This is the best way to live life too, is continuous self-doubt.
Yeah.
Right? I can't even say it. I try to pan it. But, yeah.
All right, so let's see. We are going to be covering chapter 24, The Gallery of Maps. And in this chapter, we have Dalinar trying to convince Royan. Is that how you say his name? I just listened to it.
Yeah, Royan.
Dalinar trying to convince Royan to join his expeditions and partner up with him as they go after the Parshendi. And then he has a confrontation with Adolin that goes very well. Adolin throws out some really good points and convinces him, and they hug it out.
Yeah, that's really how it goes down. Adolin at least gets to, he's been holding back to a degree. Actually, not really that much. He kind of says what he thinks.
He's been trying to get this off his chest. He really pops off though. Here, he really lets loose in front of a bunch of people too. Not really tactful. Bad tact. Bad politics. That's not a good political family.
Yeah, I was gonna say, man, Dalinar hasn't been shining politically in a lot of these chapters, and this one he doesn't so much either.
Well, it's not Dalinar in this one. This one's Adolin's fault.
Well,
Adolin
I would say,
just starts fucking screaming at him. Like, dude, shut the fuck up. What are you doing?
But even his gamesmanship, I don't know if that's even the right word, with Royan could have been better, I think. But,
I'm not sure what he could have done here. I mean, but let's get into exactly what goes on, because it starts off with neither point makes the things I've written to you here untrue, and that's going back to Wit's letter to Frost in the previous one where he mentioned, like, you know, you might think this is about my revenge against these two guys. And he's like, you know, both points are true. And he's saying, you know, but neither point makes the things I've written to you here untrue. And so it's just continuing of that letter. And then we have the King's Galleries of Maps, Balance, Beauty, and Function. The expansion dome structure of Soulcast Stone had smooth sides that melded seamlessly with the rocky ground. It was shaped like a long loaf of Thalen bread and had large skylights in the ceiling, allowing the sun to shine down on handsome formations of shale bark. So they get pretty fancy with it. They're not living like paupers out here. They're taking advantage of using the soulcasters, even though the soulcasters, that's a pretty frivolous use of soulcasting to like fancy up your war rooms.
They love their war shit.
They're definitely willing to expend some money to amp their life of luxury out here.
Yeah, they're definitely into amping up their war rooms, things like that. They're all about the, it seems at least, Elhokar doesn't hold back on that. So, and I mean, that's their bread and butter, right? They're all about the war machine, so, you know, they keep glorifying it. And one of the ways to glorify it is have these fancy rooms. Actually, it does sound kind of dope in terms of how it's laid out and the way they display it. Actually sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a cool little map room. And I like it. He's like, High Prince Roshone stood in front of the maps, hands clasped behind his back, his numerous attendants clogging the other side of the gallery. Roshone was tall, light-skinned man with dark, well-trimmed beard. He was thinning on top. Like most of the others, he wore a short, open-fronted jacket, exposing the shirt underneath. Red fabric poked out above the jacket's collar. But yeah, he's got the military uniform with the teddy poking through. The red teddy.
Red teddy. Yeah, poking through the... I love Dalinar. It's so sloppy.
Yeah.
Though it was very fashionable. Dalinar just wished that current fashion weren't so well, you know, sloppy.
He's just like, look, guys, if you're going to wear teddies, wear some nice teddies.
Yeah, have them like tailor-fitted.
These are shabby. Yeah, like, granted, I want to be wearing teddies too.
I love picturing Dalinar like going up to him and then like moving his clothes around. Like, come on, dude, let's pull it together. Come on. And like tucking things in, and like he's going around tucking guys' shirts in and like giving people belts and shit. Like, if Dalinar was in our world, right, he'd had everyone dressed as a Walmart greeter. With a tucked in polo, belt, khaki slacks.
Making sure like the teddy is like tucked into the waistband.
Yeah.
It's like turning them around, pulling their pants up like grown men. He's like lifting their pants up and they're like jerking them around. Like, what are you doing?
Get off of me. Yeah, no, definitely see Dalinar. He's big in the shirt tuck.
That's like licking his hand and rubbing their hair down.
Let's make you presentable. Come on. He's treating everyone like their kid going to church on Sunday.
Spitting on their fucking buttons and shining them. Like, quit spitting on me. What are you doing? I'm a grown man, Dalinar. You can't do this to me.
I love picturing that he treats everybody like their kids on Sunday going to church.
Yeah.
He's just like making them tuck in, get their hair parted appropriately.
So great.
Yeah. That's fantastic. That's his thing, man.
Yeah,
he doesn't necessarily completely act on it, but he does think it about everyone.
Yeah. I mean, you could easily put that in the adaptation and it's going to make perfect sense. Everybody will get it.
Everyone will say,
yes, that's exactly how I envision this stuff. Especially after listening to the podcast. Now they're never getting that image out of their head.
The teddies, for sure. Yeah. I would say, though, so if you were going to just imply it on the show, every time you'd have to show like someone walks in, Dalinar, you see the look on his face, close up of whatever piece of clothing, and then his face again, just he's just all exasperated, super frustrated with everybody's clothing. And then he's just constantly shopping. He's like let's bring Dickies back. A lot of turtlenecks, you know.
He's not upset that they're wearing teddies. He just thinks they're not getting the right fitting on the teddies.
Well, I love the things like
it's all done sloppily and
I was gonna say,
loose. It's not cinched up in the back, tight.
Well, I love like that idea of like so sloppy, though he understands it's fashionable.
Yeah.
So he's like, it's sloppy. I just wish the current fashion wasn't so sloppy.
Yeah.
Like I wish everybody just pull their shit together.
Yeah.
And dress appropriately. This is funny.
It's like I get that, I get. Look, I'm old. I'm not hip with it these days, but
hey, look, pleated khakis are always cool in Dalinar's mind.
Dalinar would be like the 40, 50-year-old. Yeah, it's kind of like just past our generation, like 50, 60-year-old men talking about fucking kids not tucking in their shirts into their shorts. Like, yeah, dude, you look real good with your shirt tucked into your shorts. Your fucking khaki shorts.
Same dude.
Nerd.
Same dude definitely has the phone on his hip on the outside of the pocket. And for extra points,
a fanny pack.
For extra points, though, also has a garage door opener on the outside of his belt. He just keeps that there.
Man, I don't know if I've even seen that move.
There's a dude in my neighborhood. Everywhere he went, he had the garage door opener.
Why?
He wore, remember, bike shorts? Not bike
through the front door, man.
Yeah.
Put a key in your pocket.
But the bike shorts, like BYKE, that the gym teachers used to wear with the double button top, and they're all polyester. Wore those super tuck. So they were up high because the double button, it would go like it's way above the belly button. A lot of those.
My favorite look at here is the pants pulled up like above the belly button just to like the rib line, and then like a belt cinching it up there, and like their gut pushing through like the crotch of their pants because of the way they pulled their pants up too high. Like, why did you do not have a mirror? I pull your pants below that.
I start to wonder, is that a function of you just don't want to shop anymore? Like you need different pants. So you're just yanking it all up and doing. You don't have
to pull. You have a belt. You already have a belt. You don't need to pull them up above your belly. Like, why are you pulling them so high?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't understand what happens. I don't understand the anatomical reasoning that happens. Other than I would give the excuse of you just don't want to shop for new pants. So to make these old ones work, just raise them. I don't know. Apparently, you have to raise them as they get older. You have to pull them up higher.
Yeah, it's a bad look. No, I don't see myself adopting it the older I get. It doesn't seem to be where I'm going fashion.
I'm gonna remember this, and when it does happen, I'm gonna snap a photo of your pants and then send you this audio file, and you'll go, "Shit, man." I don't
even know how it's possible. I don't think I could pull my pants up as high as they pull theirs. I don't even know, like, where do they get that extra, like, from the zipper to the top of the pants? Like, it seems like they got extra fabric sewed onto that.
Yeah, that's the really interesting part of it is that's what I'm saying about the anatomical. I don't understand because it's not like what do you call that? The taper or what is that? All right, the inseam. The inseam didn't change. Yeah. So what the hell happened
if I pulled
here?
my pants up like that high, like I would think I would my fucking shins would be showing.
Oh, I was talking about like the inside of the pants. Wouldn't that be uncomfortable for the junk?
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. Like maybe they're getting their pants specially tailored. Maybe there's a tailor. Like we just are not in the loop. There's tailors that tailor extra fabric, crotch guard fabric. Whatever you want to call that. The zippers are like doubled in length.
Yeah, the inseam. Our older audience listeners are all just like these fucking kids. They don't get it. Yeah. And it's true. There are tailors out there just for inseams. You're gonna start seeing them as you get older. You get in that club. It's part of AARP.
Yeah, that seems like that'd be Dalinar's look. Dalinar would be going that route and like chastising Adolin for wearing his hat backwards or something.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I always picture basketball pants hanging just too far, a little bit too far. My mom always gave me shit about that, where it'd hang just a little bit farther than is necessary, which I get it. It looks, sloppy, but I'm at home, Yeah. I'm not outside, I'm not going into, your establishment, looking like this, wearing my teddies.
Although I do get old man when I see people wearing their pants below their ass. Like, dude, I don't want to see your ass. Pull your pants up. Why do you feel it necessary for me to see your fucking ass hanging out of your pants?
It's
so
not
weird.
It's not just that for me. It's literally like, dude, you have no mobility right now.
No.
Like you can't move.
No, you have a strong urge to like run up and just push them at their side and see if they fall over.
Or do something
to get their balance.
Do something to make them have to run and be like, so this is completely impractical.
Pants them. Like if that was being done like in school, they're getting pantsed.
Yeah.
Like you're not walking around. Like I didn't even feel comfortable not having my shorts tied tight enough to protect against being pantsed in school or something. Because it was like, no, this is like, people are very willing to pants you if you give them the opportunity when I grew up. So you don't do these kind of maneuvers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially if you're like talking to girls, then the percentage chance that one of your friends will come up and pants you while you're talking to girls skyrockets.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you don't want to be already starting a job for them.
You're introducing the idea if they weren't thinking about it already.
It's rough life, kids. Rough life. Grew up in hard times.
Getting pants.
But and then so Roshone, Roshone, whatever. Our boy.
Runyon.
Our man.
Just call him Runyon. It looks kind of like onion when you look at it written.
Runyon Canyon.
There he is, Runyon. Bright Lord Runyon Canyon.
He's talking to Dalinar like, I don't know why we're doing this meeting, and they're looking over the maps. You got these maps are inked in detail onto unnaturally large seamless sheets of parchment, and you got kind of gives a layout of their kind of battlefield. So you got near the center of the chamber, they came to the prime map. It's an enormous detailed map fixed on the frame of the wall, showed the entirety of the Shattered Plains. You got the Alethi on one side. They've got these blue cliff pairs indicating which platform that each of them are on. And so they got each plateau is marked. And
which high prince control?
The high princes control each of these. So like they're on the outer edges of the Shattered Plains. And then further you move in, you run into the contested area. And that's largely where the Chasm Fiends go. And that's where they're doing most of their hunting for the Chasm Fiends, and they're fighting with the Parshendi. But then you also have these plateaus are contested. So people are buying and selling plateaus and for the purposes of you're setting up permanent bridges on them. So you got a good head start if you're going out into these contested areas to try to get a Chasm Fiend to get one of the chrysalises. Like the more plateaus you own, the better access you have to get to them quicker, the more likely you're going to win these competitions against the other high princes.
Yeah, it seems to be it's kind of all about real estate, right? I mean, that's kind of...
It's a big game, but real estate plays a very important role.
Well, I didn't realize like they pay for the areas. I really thought it was very much like, well, I guess the high princes, they don't fight one another, right? So
no, they haven't been fighting. That's one thing they've mentioned is that they've been able to keep the peace for over the 6 years. So when they're buying and selling the property, like, so they own it and then they'll be willing to sell it to someone else, for the right price. Sadius has been buying up a lot of it.
I guess that's how it'd have to go, right? Because if not, it would have to be you fight for it, win it, then hold it. Yeah. Yeah. So,
Which
I guess
you would think, I would think like they would have established the outer edges and then just moved up
Yeah, that
a
makes
step
sense.
and then moved up a step and just kept getting closer and closer to the middle. If you already got them kind of boxed in, if you're already going out as wide as you can go, then just why aren't you just moving forward until you completely close the gap on them?
Yeah, I mean, it makes a lot more sense if that's the objective, is to cut them off, if that's, kind of the end result. But instead, they're hanging back and building a extravagant city where they are.
Yeah.
I guess that's why it's
it seems to be what the primary rationale is. They don't want to get too close to the Parshendi and risk being attacked, so they stay further back. Parshendi can't get away, so they got that locked up. And then, they now, because they got the Parshendi blocked off and they're far enough away where they're not getting attacked by the Parshendi anymore on their lands, and they're able to win enough chrysalises from where they're at, and they're just like, we're getting rich and
it's kind of just
not having to risk much anymore.
Yeah.
We lose some soldiers and stuff in these battles, but not enough to lose the war.
It's a very comfortable scenario for a war machine, right? If these guys just want to keep it going because this is their livelihood, then, well, keep it going. It's comfortable. They got money coming in, right? They don't have much of a threat against them. So, and they can go out and battle whenever they want. It's pretty comfortable, right?
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of, especially if you're in the higher echelons, you're not risking your life.
Yeah.
Soldiers.
Well,
soldiers
they are. They are. Like, Sadius is even fighting hand-to-hand combat. He's not, like, sitting on the sidelines. There are some that will sit on the sidelines, but for the most part, like the ones we were seeing, like Sadius, Dalinar, Adolin, they're getting in the mix. The big advantage for them is they have shard plate, so they're more protected. But it even talks about here, like, with the shard blades, like, Sadius has to flee. He's had to flee when he's ran into a shard plate and blade owner from the Parshendi. Yeah. So even, they're mixing it up. They're fighting. They're not back watching.
It's really funny because we know how dangerous that is and how stupid it would be for him to just take on somebody with a shard blade, but it still makes him look kind of cowardice.
Yeah.
even knowing. I mean, I get it. But because it's also, everything else that you know about him, especially if you've read forward. Yeah, he's
See, it'd be tough to call him a coward though, because of he pushes so hard to get into the battles, and then he fights in all the battles. Like, this guy is fighting more than anybody.
Yeah, and again, I'm saying I understand why he would flee in that scenario.
Yeah.
It's the smarter thing to do. Still smacks of that. I just hearing it still smacks of that to me. But I guess part of me wants to lean that way because, he, in so many ways, he's not likable. So you just kind of, but he's a complicated character, man. It's not like it's all hate. And especially on the first read through, you're like getting closer and closer, being like, this guy's actually a decent dude. And I remember I even texted you like, wow, it looks like Sadius is actually, and it was right before the rugs pulled out from under.
And even, his motivations and his reasoning, I don't agree with it, but I understand where he's coming from. And I understand, like, the society they live in and why it would make sense from his perspective. It's in the second book where he starts going off the rails into more villain territory, where it's just like, this dude, like, the more he loses grip with power, the more evil he becomes, and he's willing to ruin everything, to try to gain power.
Yeah, it sounds like a desperate character. Not a great, not somebody you really want in your circle. It sounds like things aren't going well. He starts to burn your life down along with his.
Yeah, he's willing to do. He's moved to the point where he's willing to do what he's got to do to take power, and it's made him more of a. It's just made him more unlikable and less understandable. I mean, I get what's happening. The guy is getting backed into a corner where he's getting pushed out, and there's no chance for reconciliation. So it's like it's either win or I'm a goner. And so he's just doing what he's got to do to try to win. It's just him winning. The winning scenario for him is a scenario I don't want to happen. And it makes him, and what he's got to do makes him evil.
His wife seems cool though, right?
Yeah. She's a real nice lady.
And he's got that nice face too, you know. I mean, it sounds like he's, you know, he's somebody you'd want to look at.
You
a
feel
lot.
sympathetic for his bulbous ass face and like
His
what he's got to put up with.
Yeah. Face.
But and then so like, but I mean, they treat it straight as a game to the point where they got a scoreboard. They got a scoreboard, and they're sitting there looking at each other like, "Hey, check out the fucking scoreboard, man."
Yeah.
And
he's even poking at him where he's like, "Yeah, it looks like you've been slacking off lately, bro. What's
fucking
your deal?"
Scored a run since the third inning. Why are you talking shit? Like, dude, you've scored like 5 runs all season. Shut up. You got 2 guys. You got the guy with the least amount of gem hearts won of all the other high princes. He's won. Runyon Canyon has won the least amount of them. And
sounds like he's
Dalinar,
the lowest on the totem pole. It just as a high prince to begin with.
Yeah, the lowest on the totem pole out of the the high princes, and so
Dalinar's
Dalinar has won a lot, but he hasn't won a lot lately. So
yeah, I was gonna say I don't know why Chase Utley came to mind, but I'm trying to think of an example of like a great hitter who's just old now. He's like the Albert Pujols or something. You know what I'm saying? And now he's getting shit on by this dude, which is another sign of how much the society has changed. I mean, they even point that out where it's like, Royan's careful to not directly talk shit about Dalinar, but he's still talking shit about Dalinar.
Yeah. Yeah, and also too, just you talked about like they're at the tower where you're at in the books, and that is the middle plateau, and this is where they've not won a battle in this area because the Parshendi are too close to it, so they always beat them there.
They're like 0-26 or something, right? Something like
that. They had rebuffed the Alethi assaults there 27 times now.
Oh, it's close.
Dalinar had been turned back there twice himself, just too close to the Parshendi, and I believe this might be where Sadeas tries to set him up as well.
Yeah. That's what came to mind when I listened to this chapter, which was crazy because then I went again. It's like, well, they're there again. But yeah, if I remember right, this is where Kaladin saves his ass, was at the tower.
Yeah, it might not be that plateau. It might have been a different plateau, but I'm fairly certain it's the tower. I think,
I
foreshadowing it here.
Yeah.
It would make sense that it would go back there, but off the top of my head, I could be wrong on that, but I'm fairly certain it is the tower. But yeah, and then, it was something to consider before that could happen. However, Dalinar would need alliances. And so you got like High Prince Sadeas has been doing very, very well lately. Dalinar tapped Sadeas' war camp. He's been buying plateaus from other high princes, making it easier and easier for him to get to the battlefield first. Yes, Royan said, frowning. One hardly needs to see a map to know that, Dalinar. And he's like, look at the scope of it. We've been fighting all this time for 6 years now, and we've never even, seen the center of the Shattered Plains. And this is where you kind of get some of the backdrop of why they're doing what they're doing. Mm-hmm. He's like, that's not the point. Point is to box them in and starve them out. And then, we're winning gem hearts every day, killing off enough of them. And eventually they're going to collapse. They're just going to run out of numbers. But, they've been doing it for 6 years. Like, how long are you willing to do that?
Yeah, it's interesting that Dalinar brings it up the way he brings it up, because it kind of forces or encourages Royan to basically say, well, yeah, that's not the point. And this was your plan, bro. We're following your plan. He's like, yeah, and I'm thinking it's time to change tactics. Because like you said, how long the fuck are we going to do this? Because they're not like you said, they're not progressing. They're just setting up this battle camp and then just dipping in, dipping out, dipping in, dipping out. They do this fucking forever. It's starting to seem like.
Yeah, I mean, that's why they're starting to set up camp, bring their families in, and, it's like they're building a second kingdom. But, it's not sustainable. Because some of them have to go back home.
And the problem is, it also sounds like they're at risk of losing control back home as well, right?
Yeah. So they got problems at home they got to worry about, and you're spreading yourself too thin.
Yeah,
which happens with wars. Countries reach out way too far,
Yeah.
spread themselves too thin and, get taken out by just attrition.
Yeah, I mean, big part of it is supply. If you can't keep your supply up,
It's happened to numerous empires.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the interesting. Some of the interesting elements here is like they have this consistent source of production, right? So as they can keep themselves going, well, they can keep themselves going, right? But yeah, it's the smart leaders will look ahead and say, if this is not sustainable, we need to change tactics now.
Yeah,
Start rethinking things. Problem is, Dalinar seems like a crazy person to even be suggesting it. Plus, they all think he's crazy anyway. So all of that tied together, you're saying things that are sacrilege to their plan, and we know you're having night terrors or whatever. It's a bad combination.
Yeah, he's going against the culture, and he's also, he's got issues that make him look like he's losing his mind. And this guy, like, he's bringing up, like, why should we change strategy? This one works out great for me, and I'm the least of the high princes, and the least of the high princes is like, this strategy is working out well for me. So imagine how well it's working out for the guys that are like Sadius.
Yeah,
like why would they want to change?
Yeah, I mean, and according to what they're talking about, not only is it working out well, he's winning.
Yeah.
Why would the guy that's winning want to change tactics? I'm winning.
Yeah.
Like if somebody asks you to change the rules when you're winning, it's because you're winning. You're going to be the most reluctant to change.
Yeah. Well, and the problem is they're not looking at the big picture, and they're not getting the warnings that he's getting, the ominous warnings, the vague ominous warnings, but they're not getting any of those. And so they're not seeing that there's danger on the horizon, and they're just looking at it as like, we're winning, everything's going great. They're not seeing the cracks in the foundation and the problems that are, going to pop up at home because no one's there to run the kingdom. And, the problems of running two kingdoms and the problems of just, Sadius is running through slaves at a very fast pace. Like, that can start to become a problem. There's a lot of cracks in the foundation.
Yeah, but again, people don't want to worry about it until it becomes a real problem.
Yeah,
like, that's human nature. But what you're also talking about is try to explain to anyone. He tries to explain to Adolin that he's seeing the warnings. He's not really believing him. So his credibility is getting shot. So yeah, that's problematic on top of it, to say the least. I mean,
those the dreams are not helping his reputation at all. And this guy brings it up. He's like, there's some who say the Blackthorn has lost his sting. Roshone said he was careful not to insult Dalinar outright, but he went further than he once would have. It's because of the fact that he, the high storm hit when he was not in his own camp, and he got caught in the middle of someone else's camp and did his little spazzing around routine, talking in tongues.
He throws a direct diss at him about that, where he's like, "Oh, you're gonna go to the thing tonight? Because there's supposed to be a high storm." Yeah, I'm coming. I'll be there. Oh, okay, yeah. Oh no, I knew you would. I'm just fucking.
No reason why you wouldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but there, and he's down there just trying to get him to the point of like, we got to stop treating this like a game, and we got to treat it like this is something we have to win. We need to win now. We need to get this over with and be done with it and get back to our own kingdom. And Dalinar's wrong too. He's looking at this from a very narrowed in perspective. He's thinking, I have to unite the Alethi kingdom, and he's not thinking big picture. He's not thinking the scope of the world, or that there might be more important than just your individual kingdom. That these messages, when you're seeing, because like even in the dreams and the visions that he has, they're not just all Alethi people.
Yeah.
It's people all around the world when he's saying unite them. And so it's like, but Dalinar keeps zeroing in on, I got to unite these high princes.
Well, that's an interesting point for where I'm at in the books now, because that's what he's starting to realize, right? Is he's realizing this is much bigger. It's the Voidbringer, so it's all of us. And the speech he gives on the battlefield is to that, where it's, I've been and I've been throughout history and I've seen these resets and the end of technology and the end of progression. And this time we're going to end it. This time we're going to, fight them back, what have you,
Well, and you have the ominous signs like, at the end of this book where Shallan and Yasna come to the conclusion that the Parshendi, the Parshmen, are Voidbringers. And so then you're looking at a situation where they're like, if these guys are the Voidbringers and they snap too, they're everywhere.
Yeah.
They're embedded in everything.
Yeah, that's a big problem.
And so that's not just an Alethi problem. That's a worldwide problem.
Yeah.
Because your infrastructure, I mean, so much is dependent on these slaves and the labor that they're providing. So, I mean, if you just lose them, that disrupts the economies of the world dramatically. If you're not shifting away from that and moving in a different direction, like you could easily shift into, a different direction. You don't need the slave labor, but if you're that dependent on slave labor and then it just disappears tomorrow, that'd be a major fucking problem.
That'd be a major economic problem. It'd also be, imagine all of those, that slave labor turns into a violent, force against you in an instant. Yeah. Now you're in big fucking trouble.
Yeah, now you're gonna have to fight a war.
Yeah,
in the midst of your economy being fucking wrecked.
Well, and it's basically like you have what do you call it? Airborne infantry behind your battle lines. They're ensconced in your world. Yeah, that's so a big,
he's looking at the small picture now. Obviously, at this point, he doesn't even know about that. Like Shallan has not told him anything, and Yasna dies before she tells him anything. So
he's kind of also miscasting the unite them. He's just looking at it from his own smaller perspective, right?
Yeah.
If he took into account, hey, I just killed these, eyeless sacks of dog things, that whatever the hell that was in a completely different realm. He could think outside the box based off of that, but obviously look from the outside looking in, that's easier to picture than you would if you were in his shoes, I imagine.
Yeah. Now you get also a large part of how warlike their culture is, because when they talk about war, you really get a sense of who the Alethi are, because he's like, all wars are games, the greatest kind, with the pieces lost, real lives, the prizes captured, making for real wealth. This is the life for which men exist, to fight, to kill, to win. He was quoting the Sunmaker, the last Alethi king to unite the High Princes. Gavilar had once revered his name. So, I think that's probably the first time that they're mentioning the Sunmaker, but he's going to get brought up a number of times. He's a kind of a legendary figure in the Alethi society.
Yeah, I mean, we get this time and again. I mean, these are their superheroes, man. This is like their whole focus is war.
But again, you see too, like the Sunmaker united the kingdom, but it fell apart. Gavilar and Sadeas and Dalinar had to kind of reunite it, and now that it got reunited, soon as Gavilar was lost, it's starting to fall apart again. Mm-hmm. And so they haven't solidified anything. They have not really united anything. And he talks about that with Adolin.
Well, it's kind of interesting too, because when you say, again, smaller picture to bigger picture, unite them. Well, unite the High Princes. Well, that's just your own little kingdom.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like who are you really uniting? Because if it's uniting against the Voidbringers, basically you need to unite all human beings. I mean, that's kind of the point, right?
Yeah.
And that's what it seems to me. So, yeah.
Yeah, and then, Dalinar is like, perhaps, yet what is the point? We fight to get shard blades, then use those shard blades to fight to get more shard blades. It's a circle, round and round we go, chasing our tails so we can be better at chasing our tails. Which, to them, they're like, yeah, dude, but I got a shard blade. Like, so, what are you talking about? You know how valuable these things are?
Yeah, I was going to say, as long as you have one, if you don't have one, yeah, you're kind of up shit creek in that world.
Talking to someone like, yeah, but look, we're making billions, and then we're using those billions to make more billions. What's the point? And they're like, I'm making billions. I don't understand. What are you talking about?
Yeah, it's that would definitely be a, I don't even know if it's not an identity problem, but it's definitely a problem of perspective. Where it's like, you have much different goals than I do. If you're talking to a guy that loves
making money, and then you're pointing out like, hey, look, man, we're making money, using that money to make more money. What's the point? It's like that. You just said the point.
This is the point, and it's successful. Let's keep doing
I love this. That's what I love. You just described what I love. I would like to keep doing it. That's the point. Not realizing, not talking to the audience.
Yeah, I would say, you have a difference in life goals. You're talking to somebody who has completely different perspective on life.
Some guy that's like all about the fight and winning the shard blades and using the shard blades to win the shard blades. You don't pitch him that as like, that's the bad thing. You gotta pitch him like a more effective way to get what he wants.
Yeah.
Like defeating the Parshendi completely will get all their shard blades. Like, why are we taking their shard blades one at a time? When we could just go and defeat them and we'll get them all at once. And then we can move on and get more shard blades and more shard blades. And we stack those shard blades on top of those shard blades.
And then everybody's got shard blades.
Yeah.
Dalinar has a problem. He's not a great salesperson. I'll say definitely.
He does.
Say that.
He does. I mean, he does see it when he's like, "All right, look, I'll make you a deal, and I'll give you, if we win a shard blade, I will give you the shard blade."
Well, yeah, Royan kind of makes it clear where he's like, and what happens with the shard blades? Like, oh, they clearly go to the victor. He's like, well, you already have them, so you're going to get them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that does seem to be
which makes sense because
problem.
It's obviously it's way easier to win shard blades and shard plate when you already have them.
Yeah, it's almost impossible to do it the other route. It seems. Yeah. So Royan kind of makes it clear. So Dalinar's like, I need to up the ante here. Okay, then. And then, basically tells him, I'll give them to you.
But also, when they talk about, like, when he pitches the idea of working together, Royan brings up a good point. He's like, if more troops increase my chances of winning, then I just bring more of my own. The plateaus are too small for fielding large armies, and mobility is more important than sheer numbers. So they're already in an environment where they're holding back troops. Mm-hmm. They could be holding back 3/4 of their troops. Dalinar has so many extra troops that he's got half of them, policing. I can't remember how many, but he's got a ton of them patrolling the camps.
Yeah,
and just being policemen.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like that is going to be a tough sell on. Like, I don't need you. I can win without you. I've been winning without you. Now, this guy should be pushing like, yeah, but you barely win. You're not winning enough. Like, if we're sharing the plateaus, you're going to be able to, like, if I get to a plateau, I got more access to more plateaus. I can win more. We can combine our efforts. We'll get to more gem hearts and we'll split them, and then we'll buy more plateaus and we'll just go from there and we'll just keep building.
Yeah, that's a smart way to sell this guy for sure. And he's telling him
you're not winning. Team with me. I'll bring you up, and we'll build you up. And then, like, if he's also worried, like, I don't want to get pulled into being your servant. Basically, I don't want to be subservient to you. And it's like, okay, well, let's make a deal that when we buy property, you get half of it and I get half of it, and then eventually we can go our own ways if necessary. If it's not working out, you're leaving me with more property and possibly shard blade and shard plate.
Well, I mean that would be driving at what this guy is saying, claiming that he wants, and as you say, he's the least successful out of the bunch. So if you can up the ante and become more successful, that would be the selling point.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, in Dalinar, he's got his good points where he's talking about, like, each High Prince's army has different strengths. I got my heavy infantry, you got archers, Sadius Bridges are fastest. If we work together, we could try new tactics. We spend too much effort getting to the plateau in haste. If we weren't so rushed, competing against one another, maybe we could surround the plateau. could try letting the Parshinni arrive first, then assault them on our own terms, not theirs. And that's also the route you should be going as far as, this isn't like the way to sell guys that are all about the loot, because this is just like, okay, now you're talking about divvying up the winnings even more.
Yeah.
And I'm already making money, so
this is more selling on Dalinar's. What Dalinar's
let's win the war
is win the war, but that doesn't sell Royan, who doesn't give a shit. It seems
no, you got to get one of them on your side, and so if he's
work your way
if his selling point is greed, sell him on greed. Don't. Again, Dalinar's problem with sales is he's selling on what would work for him, what would convince him, not what would convince the other guy.
Yeah. It's an interesting. And so then also thinking back, his first objective was make me High Prince of War, and I'll just tell all these fuckers what we're doing.
Yeah,
that was the objective. He didn't get that, so now it's like, all right, well, I got to convince these guys. I'm going to convince them to do what I want them to do for my reasons. It's not very convincing, when you don't have the ability to just tell them what to do. You're still treating it like you can get to tell them what to do, but now you're trying to be a little bit salesy about it. It's not really working.
And I mean, you're selling them on, that's not what they want. They're coming in, they want a Corvette, and you're pushing a minivan on them.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, dude, I don't want a fucking minivan. Shut up about the stupid minivan. Like, get someone else. Let me talk to someone else. I want to buy a Corvette.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Gotta listen to the customer.
Yeah, the customer will tell you how to sell them, and that's definitely and Royan is actually doing that.
Yeah, 100%. It's written well. It's written well where you know what his priorities are. You know what Dalinar's are, and you can see why the way it's being presented is not gonna work. And then. And so they talk about the shard plates, and he's saying, very well, I'll give you the next one I win. If we agree to these terms, I'll give you the next one I win. And so, yeah, I mean, he's like, all right, well, maybe, but, I need to think on it.
Yeah, it sounds like initially he's like, oh, you do that? So it sounds like it might turn, and then, the whole I need to think about it sounds like I'm not doing this.
Yeah, I need to talk to my wife.
Yeah. I got to see what she's going to say.
I need to talk to my wife routine.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it's not a good sign for old Dalinar. He needed a one call close Royan, and he definitely did not do that.
Well, and he walks away feeling like, yeah, that didn't work. Because when Adolin asks, he's like, yeah, that ain't happening. He told me he's going to talk to his wife. He's not even married, this dude. Actually, I think he is, but you know what I'm saying. Yeah.
And then, he's like, tells him he's going to think about it. And Dalinar's like, very well. Dalinar said, but his instinct said that Royan would decline the offer. Will I be seeing you at the feast this evening? Royan asked. Why wouldn't you? Dalinar asked with a sigh. Well, the storm wardens have been saying that there could be a high storm tonight, you see. I will be there, Dalinar said flatly. Yes, of course, Royan said, chuckling. No reason why you wouldn't be. I fucking love that. Like, he just like had this conversation. He's like trying to pitch you on working together, and this dude leaves by being like fucking sticking his middle finger in your face and laughing at you.
Yeah.
Like, this did not go well.
Yeah. You're gonna lose your shit tonight? You're gonna be okay?
Not only did it not go well, this guy left by insulting me, talking shit in a roundabout way to my face.
Talk shit. Laughed and then smiled at him as he left in a way that sounds like he wasn't just like, good to see ya. It was more like, yeah, you can't keep your shit together. Peace out.
We're all laughing at you behind your back.
Yeah.
But yeah, and he's like, not for the first time he felt as if he should be able to make out a pattern to the plateaus. If he could see more of them, perhaps, what would it mean if there was an order to the chasms? Just good instincts.
Yeah, I like this. Yeah, I like this this part coming in here.
Because that doesn't tie in until the second book. I mean, that's right kind of where you're at. Like that, you realize that when Shallan and Kaladin are both in the chasm together, and then she all of a sudden realizes there's a pattern to it.
Yeah, it was really cool to read that because I didn't catch it the first time through. Like with the way he's talking about it, just kind of I didn't remember it. But yes, reading it again here, it's like, oh shit, he's catching on here.
Yeah, that's a lot of the ways that Sanderson does things. Instead of like doing like puzzle pieces that you can kind of pick up the pieces and start putting them together. He does a lot of more of like what George Martin does, where there's foreshadowing. There's things that are mentioned in the books that foreshadow things that are going to happen later, but it's not until those things happen that you would even know anything is up with that. Like this doesn't come up until the second book, but before like she sees the pattern, you wouldn't be able to like figure it out. It's not something that you could like from that line, you could figure out what the pattern is, what it means, and all that kind of stuff. There's just not enough information. He just gives little kind of hints that there's something more here, but you're going to have to get further in the books before you realize what it is. But then when you're going back through on a reread, these are the kind of things where like, oh, okay. So he was laying the groundwork for, a number of things. It's just, even if you recognize that there might be something more to it, you need the more before you can put two and two together.
Yeah, I was going to say, one of the ways that this can be, further emphasized is repetition. If he's really trying to really put that forward, more than just like lay it out, then a careful reader can pick it up. If you mention it many, many times, then it becomes quite clear. And then when it comes up, like, oh, this is what they've been talking about this whole time. Or you realize there's a significance to it,
Yeah.
They leave the Shattered Plains pretty mysterious, right? There's definitely a lot of mystery just sort of holding up above it.
Yeah.
It's a strange area. There's obviously a lot of significance to it with everything that's at stake. But yeah, it was definitely cool to come across that. Yeah, there's quite a few things between where I'm at now and in here that are making those connections, which is pretty cool because it's two separate books. But it's a series, right? I think this is a series. Isn't this a series?
But Dalinar, he goes, after that, he's like, everyone else was so concerned with looking strong, with proving themselves. Was he really the only one who saw how frivolous that was? Strength for strength's sake? What good was strength unless you did something with it? But he's missing the big picture. He's overestimating the importance of uniting his own kingdom and all these high princes. He's going about it in a stupid way, sales wise. He's just not going to convince guys, he's not going to convince people with the way he's trying to approach it, which he doesn't. And I'm glad that Sanderson wrote it that way because the way he's approaching these guys shouldn't work. And I'm glad that Sanderson went this way and chose that he went down the wrong path and it doesn't work.
One of the things, when he says everyone else was so concerned with looking strong and talking about how frivolous that was, it sounds like he's really in favor of the teddies, right?
The teddies do make you look pretty fucking strong. Because, like, if you're a big jack dude that's comfortable wearing a teddy around other big
that's
fucking jack dudes, like, you have to be pretty comfortable in your ability, as a man, like, to kind of eat shit from other men, because that's normally, I could promise you that if I walked in a teddy around my friends, I'm gonna get my balls busted.
So I do, yeah, but I do love the idea that one person did it to show how confident he was. So then
and everybody else is like, you're not stronger than me.
So then everybody else starts doing it, and then it just becomes the fashion.
That's how it became the fashion, yeah. One guy, like, he did it, and he pulled it off, because, like, he came in like a badass, and, like, was...
His wife's like, why are you wearing my clothes to work?
Yeah, people were making fun of him, and he just wasn't having any of it. He just, like, look, I think I look good. I look good. And you're jealous. You're jealous of how good I look. And then they were like, damn, man.
After a while, they were like,
look at the confidence he's got in that.
Maybe I am jealous. I don't.
It's like, he started going at him. He's like, you're just jealous that you are too scared to wear this. You know you couldn't pull it off. And they're like, what? Did he fucking say I couldn't wear a teddy? He's talking to me? Does he know who the fuck I am? I'm going home right now to change. That's how it happened.
So then just a bunch of dudes high-fiving
Yeah, a bunch of dudes.
teddies.
Yeah, starting soap fights with each other.
During the ice storms, they just go outside and suds it up.
You know,
Jesus.
Just dudes being dudes.
Well, like you said, we were really glad that Sanderson wrote, Dalinar's inability to sell. I'm really glad he wrote the Teddy stuff in there.
Yeah, that Teddy stuff is amazing.
It's such hilarious. A rich way to build out the world, and add that culture.
It's a unique cultural trait that you just wouldn't expect given their other tendencies.
Yeah, the fact that they're so into war.
Yeah.
They walk around wearing silk teddies all the time. It's just, it's a good mix.
You don't think these guys would be that secure with their femininity to go rolling around like that, but they are. It happened exactly the way we said it happened.
Yeah, it's a show. It's a peacocking. It's a show of strength.
Yeah.
Show of self-confidence.
Then he's like thinking about Elithgar, and he's like, it was a light once, he thought. That's what Gavilar's book claims. That's what the visions are showing me. Noadon was the king of Elithgar so long ago, in a time before the heralds left. When they were united, he's seeing what it was like when they were united, and they had a purpose, and they had a common goal, and it wasn't the unification that they have now, where it's a bunch of different princedoms with these high princes are all kind of running their own mini kingdom, and they're loosely tied to the king, but that could break apart at any moment.
It's a really interesting dynamic that plays out in our world as well, is like this idea of peace versus times of war, where I think they're about to talk about it, but this leads into it, right? Because what they're talking about is that time of peace can be prosperous.
Yeah.
But then in their world, they're like, peace is never prosperous. Prosperous is war. War is prosperous. That brings the prosperity, right? So it's like two different ways to look at the world. And there's many times throughout our history, throughout world history, where it's looked at as war is prosperous, and you glorify the leaders that expanded your kingdom, and those that didn't were the do-nothings.
Yeah.
They didn't do it, they didn't do anything. But then you have the Marcus Aureliuses out there that did, a little bit of both, But yeah, it's an interesting way to even just parse through history. It's very real to our world, for sure.
Well, and you get like Dalinar, he's kind of reaching to, like, I think I'm starting to figure out what had Gavilar so excited at the in the end, and in he's the message, like find the words, find the most important words and those kind of things. Like feels like he's kind of scratching at the surface of it, and he kind of is, but it really takes him till the second book where he starts to think, like, starts to realize, like, no, it's not about just this kingdom. It's a bigger picture, and not supposed to unite the high princes. He's like, I'm supposed to unite the world, and he's like, I need to reestablish the Knight's Radiance, is what he ends up coming to the conclusion of. Yeah. And then he makes a really smart choice by promoting what's his face as like the new Knights Radiant.
Amaram? No.
Amaram, yeah. He bestows Amaram with that title of the the next Knights Radiant guy. Which it's hilarious. Like, he's like got a at least a good instinct that there are Knights Radiants that are reforming. He's got two of them right next to him, in Kaladin and Shallan. But he goes and gives it to Amaram, complete piece of shit, garbage person, like the worst choice. And he's not understanding what it would require to become a Knights Radiant. It's not just you just bestow it upon someone yourself. There's got to be a little partnership going on with Sprens. That
really makes me this. I don't know why this. I mean, I guess this has occurred to me before, but the choice of Gavilar on Sanderson's part is really great, because it gives us this historical figure who was close to Dalinar. That's kind of an example, but it's an example of like good gone wrong to a degree. It's an example of like something to strive for and a puzzle to try to put together and to figure out. There's a lot of complexity involved with that, and there's a lot of like, opportunity missed, and I mean, it completely changes his life, the fact that he dies. So much spins out of that. It's almost like a Ned Stark moment to some degree, right?
Yeah.
And then so much out of what people were saying about him, now they're saying about you, and you're doing what he was doing, and there's a negative connotation to that. It's really interesting because, and then we get to experience and watch Dalinar try to figure out what it was happening with Gavilar and then it's all that responsibility, man. He's a dutiful motherfucker, dude. Was that his calling, duty?
Yeah. Yeah, duty, yeah.
It's fucking, no wonder, man. No wonder he's tuck your shirt in,
He should be the
dude,
one,
man.
you would think he would be the one shitting in Shardplate with that kind of, that code, the duty code, but
duty, yeah.
It's like
Very
all about
mature.
duty, but yeah, he's the anti one. Like it's all about holding in the duty to him.
Yeah, for him, it's holding in the duty, stand up straight, pleated khakis, tucked in. Your belt needs to be above belly button.
Yeah,
at all times. I mean, that makes total sense. This is one of the most rigid characters I've ever
with
come
suspenders.
Across. Yeah, double up, man.
Yeah,
double
just
up.
in case.
Every
He's like,
shoe,
look, I've seen someone get pants before. Never happening to me. Never happening.
Every shoe is double knotted, and he walks around the camp. Every shoe's got to be double knotted.
What probably happened was Gavilar pantsed him in front of Navani, and he's never recovered from that.
Yeah.
Now, like
PTSD,
now,
like a son of a bitch.
he like tucks his shirt down, and then he like tucks his shirt under his underwear, like so that like no one could ever see his underwear.
You know what he has? He has one of those. He has one of those.
Oh, the
shirts
button at the crotch.
Buttons,
yeah, 100%. He's like, Navani saw him in his undies one time, and now he wears a shirt that buttons up at the crotch, covering his underwear, belt above the belly button, suspenders. Yeah, he's looking fucking. He's looking ready to go. That's why he's like, I'm always ready.
This is also why he never poops.
Yeah.
Because it's too much work. So he just poops at home by himself. It's very shameful.
Yeah.
Right? So
he's always worried Navani's going to show up at the war camp on the battlefield, and someone's going to be wiping his ass.
Oh yeah, Dalinar. I love it. I love this guy. He's really coming into his place here, man.
Yeah.
Really making him pop and sizzle here.
Oh man, he's making a fashion statement. And then Dalinar, he's sees he could almost see it, but then as he's looking at the map, then Adolin comes up, and we get the interaction with him and Adolin, and so he sees Adolin. It switches to Adolin's perspective as well. We're in Adolin's head the rest of the chapter. It's like Adolin approached slowly. His father had that look in his eyes, the absent one he got so often lately. Even when he wasn't having an episode, he wasn't entirely here, not in the way he'd once had been. Which he's not. He's got a lot of shit on his mind. He's trying to puzzle out what the hell's happening to him, what it means. Well, he senses that there's major danger on the horizon, he's trying to figure it out.
And even just like the point he comes in, Dalinar's in this quandary of like, if he could just stretch a little further, see the pattern in the lives of men. Like he was just looking for the pattern in the Shattered Plains. Now he's looking for the pattern in the lives of men, but grasping, stretching, reaching. And it's like the farther he reaches, the more distant the answers seem to become, which kind of works really visually, at least from my mind. With like the Shattered Plains and trying, like the harder you try, the further away it's going to be. It's like trying to swim to a beach ball, where it's it's like that sleeping mind that we have in Rothfuss, which is that idea of like the harder you grasp at it, the lesser chance you're going to get it when what you need is subtlety, and you need to observe. And
what he's obviously missing is like he's not around Kaladin, and even when he eventually gets around Kaladin keeps his shit secret. And so,
Or
like, if
Shallan,
Kaladin
like,
lets him know what's happening to him, all of a sudden, some puzzle
Well, you know-
pieces are going to snap together for Dalinar.
You know what's interesting? He thinks every time he thinks of Yasna, he's like, I need her around.
Yeah.
I wish she was around. He thinks about that a lot. If he had Yasna, Shallan, or Kaladin, and especially Shallan or Kaladin where they are now, where I'm reading in book 2, well, now he's getting it. Now he's seeing it. Obviously,
Yeah.
these things need to play out in the way they're going to play out, and it comes together like in the crescendo type fashion that Sanderson's so well known for. But yeah, it's
Without
really
that,
cool to
without
piece
those
that
pieces,
together.
without knowing that there's Knights Radiance coming back, he's not going to fully understand what's happening.
Yeah, and that all would make perfect sense. So we sit with the frustration which he has and what he's grasping for, what he's trying to figure out, which is cool, man. Because we're figuring out with him. You know?
Yeah,
or not really, but you know,
to an extent,
we do to a degree.
You know, it's a kind of a slow burn. I mean, you can start to piece together that something's happening with Kaladin, but you know he's becoming a Knights Radiant. Like, you know that like Syl is important in that respect. Like, not yet, not really.
Yeah.
First time you're going through it, it'd be hard. I mean, unless you're really analyzing what you're reading and you're stopping, you're taking breaks, you're thinking about it, really analyzing it. Probably not going to pick up on exactly what's happening. You might notice something. You might start to realize, like, starting to show some powers like Zeth had, but also depends on how fast you're reading. Like, you know, it could be someone reads the Zeth chapter and then doesn't start seeing Kaladin gaining powers, you know, subtly gaining powers until a point when you've already forgot about Zeth and what he was able to do. And you're not thinking about that kind of stuff. So easy to miss what's happening to Kaladin until you get towards the end. Until you get to the point where he starts sucking in the Stormlight and Teft is like, yo, you know, you telling him what's happening to him. Until that happens, you're not picking up on it all that well.
Either way, it's quite satisfying, obviously. You know, to getting the puzzle pieces that do eventually fit together. It all works out.
Yeah, it comes together in a great way. The payoff is a great payoff at the end of this book.
Well, and even just going for the ride. I mean, whether you're slowing down, it's kind of rare that I read in that way. Sometimes I have read in almost an obsessive manner for certain things where it's like I want to feel like I'm not missing anything. But there are other times where if you just kind of allow it to happen, certain authors, they'll take care of you, man. Just let them do it. You know what I mean?
I do that stuff on the second read of a book. Yeah. Like if there's stuff like this, like a mystery type of thing, and I'll pay more attention. Like I pay attention while I'm reading it, but I'm not trying to figure it out. You know, I'm not stopping, thinking about it, trying to looking at a sentence, studying the sentence, thinking about what it could mean. I don't do that the first time I go through. Well, I just read it, and if an idea pops in my head, fine, but I'm not stopping to think and analyze. I do that on the second read.
In a way, it's kind of what I was just talking about, where it's like if you're grasping so hard, you're taking away from the experience.
Yeah.
Sometimes just allow it to come to you.
Yeah.
With the upper echelon quality of authors, they're doing it for you, and they're artfully doing it in the way that was intended, you know? So you just kind of allow that to, you know, if it washes over you, read it again, you know? But and then certain things will start to poke out. And just like what we were coming across there a moment ago, that comes out on a reread, but you know, rereads pay back with quality writing anyway, so.
And then we get, you know, Adolin asking him how the meeting went, and Dalinar tells him disappointing. And he's like, you know, I'm proving far worse at diplomacy than I once was at war making. And Adolin tells him there's no profit in peace. That's what everyone says. But we had peace once and seemed to do just fine, better even. But there's no profit in peace. It is such a stupid idea. Yeah. Like, what are you talking about? There is
such a ridiculous comment.
Like for certain people, individuals or groups, yes, you can benefit from war, but overall war is destruction of wealth, not the expansion of wealth. Some people might benefit, but it's at the expense of others. Trade is where everybody's winning. where everybody's getting something for something. You're exchanging things. You're trading things. You're not destroying one people's things and then taking some of their other stuff. Like that's destroying wealth with war. Like it's such a stupid saying where it's like, who like only the people in the position of power that are not suffering the catastrophic costs would be like, there's no profit in, there's profit in war. There's no profit in peace. That's so stupid.
It always the type of characters that relish in destruction. It almost feels like the Joseph Conrad. What was the Marlon Brando, Robert Duvall movie?
I don't know. They're one of the stupid black and white movies that everybody hates.
He says smell of napalm in the morning. It's like the
you're talking about Apocalypse?
Yeah, Apocalypse Now. It's based on the Joseph Conrad novel.
Yeah.
Heart of Darkness. Yeah, it's like this. I mean, that character is super duper tortured, and that's the kind of guy that basks in destruction. Right? Yeah, because he's gotten to that place. It's super that super dark, dark area.
Just think about it from like if they were farming the gemstones out, farming those the chasm fiends. Mm-hmm. They were raising chasm fiends and farming them.
If they had huge stables.
That would be much more lucrative. And then trading and then making a business out of that.
Of all the bridge leaders and all the bridge runs, all the slaves.
All the people that are dying, the slaves you're replacing, all the gemstones you got to replace because you're constantly making things to feed an army. Like this is not, you might be able to make money off of it, but that's not the most profitable system. The most profitable system would be a business and trade and exchanging things. Stop fighting. If you were at peace with the Parshendi, there's a lot of money to be made on the Shattered Plains.
Yeah. Yeah, it's, I mean, I almost feel bad that Sanderson's using Adolin to deliver this line, you know what I'm saying?
Well, but it makes sense. I mean,
I know it does.
Society, it wouldn't make sense if he's like sitting there throwing out, wisdom, because it would be like then, because once you get that, if like Adolin is sitting there throwing out like proper, thoughts given their culture, you'd be like, this is Sanderson talking. This is him trying to push ideas on people instead of living in his character and letting his character speak. Yeah. And then his character saying whatever his character would say. That's good writing. Once you start getting all fucking preachy on me, like, I don't want to fucking listen to that. Not in a story.
Yeah, no, I hear you. It's just, these are the types of lines though that obviously do jump out when it's just something of such absurdity.
Oh yeah, 100%. So I'm pointing at it is because it is such a stupid line. But yeah, that's what you would expect Adolin to say. He's not the most philosophical thinker in the world. He's much more. He's not a deep thinker. He's not like Shallan in that regard. Shallan is more of the deep thinker. He's more of like a guy that just he's an athlete that likes to fight and mix it up. He's a guy's guy.
It seems like he also kind of picks up what he needs, because he even quotes the quotation from the arguments, right? So he even quotes, "There hasn't been peace since the Tranquiline Halls. Man's life on Roshar is conflict." So then Dalinar's like quoting scripture at me, huh?
Yeah, but then he's doing it because some girl.
Yeah. But I mean, basically, he's picking and choosing what can work for him in certain moments, right? So he's just trying to back up his comment with, pointing this out, which
he is straight up word a day calendar. Dalinar in this moment because he's like Malasha. He's like, you see, Malasha is rather religious, and so earlier today I was listening to, and Dalinar interrupts him. Wait, Malasha, who's that? Daughter of Bright Lord Sevix. And that other girl, Janala, Adolin grimaced, thinking back to the disastrous walk they'd gone on the other day. Several of the nice gifts had yet to repair that. She didn't seem half as excited about him now that he wasn't courting someone else. Things are rocky. Malasha seems like a better prospect. He moved on quickly. I take it that Rayon won't soon be going on the plateau assault with us, but I love that aspect where he's like just completely bungles his relationship with Janala, which we saw. He was just terrible at it.
Awesome days.
Also, she liked, the competition with the other girl. Once he gave up the other girl or lost the other girl, then she's like, nah, now that I got you, I don't really want you.
Yeah. It's pretty funny how that does tend to work out. But yeah,
especially when you take girls on terrible dates too. Then
I was
all of a
say,
sudden,
maybe don't take her.
You're combining two bad things.
Yeah, maybe don't take her to he took her to a business
priest.
Meeting?
Yeah, a business meeting, an investigation, and the priest. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty. He's like, "Oh, this is all romantic. What are you talking about?" Yeah, it's pretty funny.
But yeah, and so he lets him know that he doesn't think Rion is going to join up. He's like, he's too afraid that I'm trying to maneuver him into a position where I can seize his lands. And he's like, perhaps it was wrong to approach the weakest High Prince first. He'd rather hunker down and try to weather what comes at him, holding what he has, as opposed to making a risky play for something greater. You didn't really give him good.
You didn't give him greater.
Yeah.
You also didn't give him greater.
He did. I mean, he's like, possibility of getting shard played, but he's not selling him on that if we join up and we win it, we're hunting the gemstones, we could win more, we could compete more. Like Dalinar's problem too is he has not been going out and winning gem hearts. So he has to convince them that, look, this is what it's all for. We're holding back now, but we're ready to go and strike out. If it's me and you, we're hunting.
Yeah,
things are going to change.
He kind of pivoted. He just pivoted mid-presentation to, so you want shard plates? Well, we'll get you. We'll get you some shard plates. Yeah. Believe me. But he didn't lay out a plan. No. He didn't have some convincing argument for it. So
he didn't sell him on how he's going to make him richer by the proposition. And then so he's like, so you still intend to approach the others? I do. I only need one to say yes in order to start. What do you think? Who do you think we should go to next? Not sure, but for now, I think you should know something. Sadeas has sent to us, asking permission to enter our war camp. So they start talking about Sadeas. Sadeas is coming in, doing his investigation. Adolin is concerned that Sadeas is trying to maneuver against them, and that he's going to use this investigation to implicate Dalinar and Adolin and get them out of the way. And Dalinar is going based off of his vision, where he thinks the vision told him to trust Sadeas, and so he's thinking that Sadeas is, I should give Sadeas the benefit of the doubt. I should trust him. So they're at a kind of conflict there. But what I like in that aspect is Dalinar's wrong. He shouldn't trust Sadeas. Adolin's wrong that Sadeas is not trying to use this to maneuver to implicate Dalinar. Sadeas is smart enough to realize that if he implicated Dalinar, Elhokar wouldn't believe him. I don't think he knows why Elhokar wouldn't believe him, but he was able to pick up on the fact that Elhokar would not believe him. So this is not the time. Obviously, Elhokar wouldn't believe him because Elhokar did this himself.
Yeah. That's an interesting kind of monkey wrench in the whole thing. If it did go out that route. Right.
Yeah. Knowing it would have blew up in Sadeas' face if he did what Adolin thought he was going to do.
Yeah. Of course, we don't know that first read through, but
no,
but it is interesting to consider that
until Dalinar lets him know that he's going to take over the kingdom and take over his mom too.
Yeah, that scene is very memorable.
But yeah, and then so, he's like, but we could still prepare. You can't tell me that you're not a little worried. And he's like, perhaps this maneuver of Sadeas is aggressive, but I've told you what to do. Trust Sadeas, be strong, act with honor, and honor will aid you. That is the advice I've been given. And I love that. He's like, that's the advice I've been given, and just opening up that door. And Adolin's like, from where, man? Where did you get this advice? It's like, I had a dream. Like, no. You're talking about when you're doing this flipping around on the ground where we have to hold you down while you're speaking in gibberish.
He was giving them the Martin Luther King speech.
Yeah. Yeah. But they don't speak English, so it didn't land.
Well, I was gonna say if he did, he had it in a dream, but if he delivered it like that, yes, I had a dream, but really went with it, then maybe he would be convincing. But instead, he just gives him a look, and Adolin's like, "Dude, no, that's not gonna sail." Man.
And he points out, he's like, we're betting the future of our house on these visions now. It's like, I wouldn't say that. If Sadeas did move against us, I wouldn't simply let him shove us over, but I'm also not going to make the first move against him. That's another aspect, why Sadeas has got to play it in a strategic way, is because Dalinar has a massive army. Mm-hmm. All these high princes, they got big armies, but Dalinar's got one of the biggest, and he's in one of the most prominent positions. This is not someone you could just implicate, in a crime, and then, that's going to be the end of Dalinar. He's going to fucking fight you.
It also does seem he's got a large army, but I would assume they're also extraordinarily loyal. I mean, he's got a reputation that Sadeas doesn't have. Right?
He's got the loyalty of his men, period. I mean, they're not going to just roll over either. And so he's got a big army, but he's also, Sadeas understands that Dalinar is a pretty scary dude in a fight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, he's the Blackthorn, right? So when we slowly find out what that really means. Well, we've seen that already a number of times here.
Yeah, when he fights, he lays waste to shit. Yeah, he's no joke. He's not. Yeah. It's not a unearned reputation that people have of him as being a great warrior. I mean, he's got a bigger reputation as a warrior than Kaladin, and we've seen what Kaladin could do. Dalinar was, a more destructive force in a war. And so, we got, because of what you've seen, Adolin said, growling frustrated, "Father, you said you listened to what I had to say about the visions. Well, please listen now." And he tells him, this isn't the place. And he's like, "Look, man, you always say that. It's never the right time." And he's like, "Look, it's not the right time right now." He's like, "Maybe it's just because you don't want to hear it. You don't want to hear the truth." And then he just kind of, when Dalinar tells him, this is enough, he's like, "Look, stop fucking talking in front of everybody." Adolin just loses it at this point and go flying off at the handle, where he's like, No, it's not. We're mocked in every one of the war camps. Our authority and reputation diminishes by the day, and you refuse to do anything substantial about it. It's understandable, especially given their societal structure and their culture, that Adolin would be very concerned about this. This is completely undermining himself as well. And so,
I mean, eventually, and it comes out at the end, but eventually somebody has to say something. Right? Yeah. I mean, how far are you going to let this slide? If you don't have he has generals, but if you don't have someone beneath you that's willing to call you out and tell you the fucking truth, well, you're just going to continue to slide. Plus, people think you're fucking crazy.
Granted, Adolin's wrong.
No, I get that, but in Adolin's eyes, he's looking at his father not being who he was supposed to be or who he used to be, and he's talking of visions, and he straight up says a couple things here that are just completely wrong. But from his perspective,
it's not the place.
Sense.
You gotta do this at a time when they're alone.
Well, no,
you can't be flying off on him in front of everybody else and calling him a crazy person in front of his own men. Mm-hmm. That's just idiotic. But it's understandable why he kind of flips out. Dalinar has been kind of pushing this off and we'll talk, but they're never talking. Dalinar should have went ahead and addressed this, and he waited until it became a simmering mess.
Yeah.
And then Adolin flying off, but he's like, "Look, Adolin, I will not take this from my son, but you'll take it from everyone else? Why is that, Father? When others say things about us, you lit them. But when Renarin and I take the smallest step towards what you view as being inappropriate, we're immediately chastised. Everyone else can speak lies, but I can't speak the truth. Does your son mean so little to you?" He's not understanding Dalinar at all when he says shit like that. No, Dalinar is trying to raise you to be better than these people. It's not about that he will allow these other people to talk and he doesn't respect you, so he doesn't let you talk. It's not it. It's these guys, you listen to what he says about them. He thinks they're all jackasses. He's like, don't be like the jackasses. So you should be treating that as he's saying The jackasses, I have more respect for the jackasses than you.
Yeah, he's in a tough spot here. And like you said, he's kind of allowed it to get here. So now it's being miscast by his own son. But yeah, like you said, he hasn't addressed it, and he should have at some point. And because he hasn't, now it's blowing up in his face.
Yeah. And then, Adolin is like, "You're not well, father." Part of him realized that he'd gone too far, that he was speaking too loudly, but it boiled out anyways. "We need to stop tiptoeing around it. You need to stop making up increasingly irrational explanations to reason away your lapses. I know it's hard to accept, but sometimes people get old. Sometimes the mind stops working right. I don't know what's wrong. Maybe it's your guilt over Gavilar's death, the book, the codes, the visions. Maybe they're all attempts to find escape, find redemption, something. What you see is not real. Your life now is a rationalization, a way of trying to pretend that what's happening isn't happening. But I'll go to damnation itself before I'll let you drag the entire house down without speaking my mind on it." He's practically shouted those last words. They echoed in the large chamber, and Adolin realized he was shaking. It's understandable why he would say these things, but again, he's going too far and saying, speaking too loudly, and it's not choosing his words wisely. I mean, this is just two men who've made a bunch of blunders in part two politically.
Well, it's interesting that we know, reading through again, that he's also just straight up wrong. He goes as far as saying the king's strap just wore out, and you're seeing things that aren't there. Sorry. It's like, well, both are wrong.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, he's wrong about it. Now, to Aelin's credit, once he realizes it's wrong, he doesn't cling to it.
Yeah.
He's like, fuck. He feels guilty about it and reflects on it.
Well, and what he's doing now is it can sound bratish, but what he's doing is for the good. I mean, he's trying to protect not just his family, he's trying to protect his father from himself.
Yeah.
So he's trying to do what would be noble and good. Just he doesn't have all the information.
Yeah, and Dalinar points out, he's like, "These are all these things you're saying to me. You don't think I've thought them, that there's a possibility, but no." He's like, "I believe that the visions are visions. It's not me. I'm not losing my mind." Which would be what would be troubling for me if I was in Adolin's shoes, it'd be like, when you have a conversation with him, he doesn't sound crazy.
Yeah.
He's changing. He's becoming, he's going against the grain of the culture, but he doesn't sound crazy. He sounds idealistic, definitely idealistic, and he sounds like he's got, his goals are getting real big picture, and he's not narrowing down on things, and he's letting go of things that used to be important to him that he's now does not think are important or even necessary. But he doesn't seem like a crazy person. He's having his dreams and having his visions. Then it's like, what the fuck is going on? But outside of that, he doesn't seem crazy.
I think it's the having to be strapped down in a chair and speaking in tongues. That those images that would make it very difficult to buy in. But yeah, like you're saying, I mean, he sounds cognizant. He sounds, he's reasoned. And of course, if he's having these real visions, they're going to have an effect that would change your perspective on what's important. If you're taking them for what they are, for what they really are. But I mean, that's very difficult. It's good he wrote it this way, because it's very difficult for someone to just be like, all right, I'm with you.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just going to buy in. I'm not seeing this fucking shit. Like, what is it you saw again? Like, describe it. What were these things? Like, what's going on? And why does this have this meaning? And, all of that. I mean, it's...
And Dalinar wouldn't even be able to explain it. It's just like kind of a feeling to him. Like, he's all like fucking new age,
so he just has
hippie wisdom type thing.
So it feels like the world's going to end. Explain how. Well, it's kind of a vibe.
There's a guy that talks to me at the end of the visions, and he's like, he's just, man, he gives off a really intense vibe, feels very dangerous, talking about like the Everstorm comes, the true desolation. I don't know what the fuck any of that is. He doesn't explain it to me, but it doesn't sound good. Have you ever heard of the true desolation and thought, that sounds like a good time? I haven't.
Desolation? Yeah,
Yeah.
that doesn't sound good.
Desolation is when someone starts talking about desolation comes, that does not sound like a positive thing to me.
No.
So that's why I'm thinking something negative is going to happen.
Yeah. That's
And he's like,
those
but
are
then
good
sometimes
points.
the voice, it comes from a woman, but it's the same voice of a man. It's like, yeah, okay, dude.
Stop.
Like, you got to stop
Yeah.
telling me about your
That's,
dreams.
that's where it'd be like, man, you kind of had me for a minute and then you really fucked it all. But hold on, there's these dogs filled with smoke. They're
Yeah.
like sacks of
Like I stabbed him, like smoke poured out. It was crazy, yo.
like,
It was crazy. I had like
Yeah.
this little girl, like I saved her and, you know, I was bleeding and then like these guys came flying in and they were able to fly and they like healed my wound and put it all back together and like immediately healed myself. And like, yeah, these are dreams, man. You're having dreams.
None of this is logical. You're
Yeah.
out of your fucking mind, dude. No, I'm telling you. And then,
Stop taking your dreams seriously. These are dreams. You're having recurring dreams. That would be what I would be telling someone if they were telling me this shit. Be like, yeah, dude, these are dreams. I have crazy dreams too. It's like, no, you don't get it. Mm-hmm. Sounds like a crazy dream to me.
Not only that, most people would be like, is this my dream? Oh, then I don't give a shit.
Yeah. Stop telling me about your stupid dreams.
This has nothing to do with me. I don't give a shit. I actually like hearing about some of them. I find it interesting because it does seem like a window into a subconscious.
Yeah, but like give me
then
like the
sometimes
30
it's so
second like,
illogical.
you know,
Yeah,
elevator
yeah,
pitch
yeah.
for your dream.
Yeah,
Like I don't
need
want to
every
know the
detail.
details.
Yeah. Especially if your dream is about being stuck in traffic. I don't want to hear about that one.
No.
I don't want to hear about that one in reality or in dream state.
But yeah, that's all I got on that chapter. It's a good one. There's some good interactions there with Dalinar and Adolin.
Yep.
Then we got chapter 25, The Butcher, which is from 7 years ago. And in this chapter, we get young Kaladin hanging with his mom and dad, and we get the introduction of Roshone, who seems really cool and turns out to be very, very cool.
Well, you also have these super cool neighbors, right? A couple neighbors that seem like really nice.
It ain't
thoughtful
right what
people.
they do, the woman's voice said. You ain't supposed to cut into folks, peering in to see what the Almighty place hidden for a good reason. Make some good points, good arguments.
yeah. You're not supposed to get involved. That's like, this is like the same mentality of like, yeah, it's not natural to take baths. You're supposed to be clean, and God made you that way.
Yeah.
Leave it alone.
God wanted you to smell good. He would have made you smell good to start with. Like, okay, well, this seems like a very stupid system. Like, okay, then why do we eat? If God wanted us fed, he'd make us fed. He'd
This
make
is
you,
like-
you know.
I like this is from the well, I don't want to say whatever. This is like from the Church of the Lazy.
Yeah.
Like, all justification is, no, I don't like doing stuff. So-
Whatever she's not into, it's not her thing. That's God doesn't think you should do it.
Dude, and by the way, there are definitely masses of people throughout history that's how they live their life. And that's how they define it all as like, well,
Yeah.
if I was supposed to do those things, I would want to. I don't want to do them.
Let's
So
start
I'm
doing
not
that
supposed to
when
do
people come up with ideas of things I don't want to do. Like I'm like, hey, let's go catch a baseball game. Like, no, I'd rather go bowling. Look, if God wanted me to go bowling, he would make me want to go bowling right now, and I don't.
I mean, okay. I mean, it's logical. It's a
Yeah.
leap,
Yeah.
but you're
So we're going to the fucking baseball game.
well. Who can question your relationship with your higher power? You know?
Are you questioning my religious views and my relationship with God? Is that what you're doing right now? Am I hearing this right from you?
That's such an uncomfortable position to put somebody in.
That's how you get people to do what you want. You know, if you got them trying to offer bad ideas, make them very uncomfortable.
That's also a way to convince people to not ask you to do things.
Well, you force yourself into it. Like, look, if God didn't want you to hang out with me, why am I here right now? Why do I keep showing up?
Yeah, again, solid. Real solid.
But yeah, so they're shitting all over his dad. And so he's like, for now it was too cold for plants to enjoy the respite. Rockbud spent winter weeks curled up inside their shells. Most creatures hibernated, waiting for warmth to return. Fortunately, seasons generally lasted only a few weeks. Unpredictability, that was the way of the world. Only after death was there stability. So the Ardents thought, at least. So, again, crazy weather patterns.
Yeah, the idea of switching from like winter to spring in a few weeks is nutty. It's hard to wrap my mind around that because of the world we live in. Just like that huge dramatic shift would be pretty wild.
Now, granted, it would be better in the sense of you're only getting a couple weeks of winter at a time.
Well, yeah, obviously, because winter sucks balls.
Winter, like people like, oh man, after spring and summer starts getting towards winter, and they start talking about, oh, I like once it cools down, and I like the winter. It's like, yeah, come talk to me in February.
Nah,
like after you've had, you go through like from December, January, February, and you've seen the sun 5 times.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, when you say cools down, yeah, I'm cool. Like Midwest, I'm cool with October, maybe even November. But by the time December rolls around and you can't, you have to cover all of your skin. And then January, February, I talked about this the other day with somebody from Ohio. We're both in Florida. And man, like March, when it was still icy, like, dude, get the fuck out. I hated it.
Yeah.
Like, especially by the time that I kind of realized I was going to leave the state. By the time it got to that point, it was like, dude, no, I'm done with this.
It wasn't like when I didn't recognize how much I hated winter. I knew I didn't like winter. I didn't like the cold, but I didn't realize how much I disliked it until I went and lived in Southern California for over a decade. And then I went back to winters, and it wasn't so much the cold. I could adjust to the cold, but it was the no sun, where after I'd lived in a place where it's sunny all the time, it was like, no, I cannot go back to a place. So I was immediately, I'm going somewhere where the sun is out almost every day. Yeah, it's sunnier here than in California.
The crazy thing is, yes, lack of sun, but also everything's dead. Yeah. It's all dead. Like the trees have nothing. It's like, it looks like the entire world, the desolation, man.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like.
Desolation. We go like, yeah, they think that desolation's so bad. They haven't experienced winters like we got them. They only get a couple weeks of true desolation.
Yeah. That's the thing where it's like, and when you hear that, and if you've lived in a place that has long winters, and they're virtually always like that with like the sleet and slush and snow and ice, and it lasts for months, man, you don't have to do it. And I think a lot of people, they just feel like that's part of the life. So I look forward to it. I guess they're selling themselves.
I hated it so much. I remember the last year the last winter I had driving on the interstate, the roads are clear. It's not snowing or anything, but then I hit a patch of black ice, fucking fishtailed all over the place. It was like, man, that was just too intense. Too intense.
Just completely out of the blue.
Yeah, like, I mean, everything else was good, so I was rolling on the interstate, and then just, like, it's not like I changed lanes. I'm just driving straight, and I hit it, and the car just fishtailed all over the place. I was like, holy shit, I'm done with this. Done.
That's fun.
No more winter for me.
Yeah, that's a fun little wake up call.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll put a little shart in the shard blade. But yeah, and then so he's like, he could hear the 2 women unseen but chatting a short distance away, and they say, that he stole from the old citylord, one woman's voice said, keeping her voice down, an entire goblet full of spears. So they're accurate. And he's like, the surgeon says they were a gift, but he was the only one there when the citylord died. There is a document, I hear, the first voice said. A few glyphs, not a proper will. And whose hand wrote those glyphs? The surgeon himself. It ain't right, the citylord not having a woman to be scribe. I'm telling you, it ain't right what they do. And he's thinking about how Liren wouldn't want the strife or embarrassment, even though Liren robbed the citylord. Like, it caused this very bit of speculation. But, very much do as I say, not as I do. And because, like, Liren kicks up dust like a motherfucker in these next handful of chapters. The next flashback chapters.
Yeah, he's a pretty cool character, And Cal, every time we get these flashbacks, especially this, I feel like pretty much every time we get a flashback chapter with Cal, man. Yeah, I can understand why he's the way he is. He's kind of a bitter dude, even as a kid, man.
Yeah. Yeah, and he goes walking out there while they're gossiping, giving them the stink eye, making them uncomfortable. Then they end up going back inside, and he's like, the satisfaction didn't last long. Why do people always say such things about his father? And it's like, you learn it's a large part is what his dad does. I mean, they don't understand it. It'd be kind of like witchcraft to an extent. Mm-hmm. Some of the things he's able to do.
Yeah, I mean, there's that. There's also kind of not fitting in. You have a completely different job, so what does he think, he's better than me? Probably a little bit of that, a little resentment, So there's a little bit of that mixed in.
And then, like he talks about, like they call him morbid and unnatural, but then they go out and buy glyph wards and the charms and shit like that to kind of pray to the Almighty to cure them. And then they look their nose down at Liren, who's doing the curing, and it's like, they don't even put the possibility like that the Almighty would be sending Liren and someone who is proficient at medical. Degree, with medical knowledge, it wouldn't occur to him that maybe the Almighty sent him, and instead of that charm you wear around your neck
that do nothing. But again, that's the lazy way, right? It's better to do the lazy thing, easier to do the lazy thing. But it's also a good point that Cal's mother brings up, which is, of course you can blame the guy that tried to help you if it didn't work. Right? You put the glyph wards out, that doesn't work. Well, it didn't work.
Almighty's will.
Yeah. So in that case, it was like, well, it was her time. That's what it basically boils down to.
Yeah, well, there's not like someone standing in front of you that you can blame. Whereas when he screws up, you're right there watching him.
Well, and what's his face? Is it Royan? Yeah, this is Royan too, right? Rolls through. And
no, Roshone.
Oh, Roshone, yeah. This is Roshone rolls through and he's like, "Yep, your fault, bro. I heard you killed him."
Yeah, that's so great. Oh, that line.
heard you murdered him.
Immediately lets him know like how their relationship's gonna be. And then so we get more on the Krim. He's like, he comes up to his mom, and she's working on the house. It's like the objects of her attention were a set of icicle-like pendants of rock that had formed on the edges of the roof. High storms dropped storm water, and the storm water carried Krim. If left alone, Krim eventually hardened into stone. Buildings grew stalactites formed by storm water slowly dripping from the eaves. You had to clean them off regularly or risk weighing down the roof so much that it collapsed. So I think they've made it pretty clear, because we've talked about, does it come in just the rain or just the storm water? It seems like it's just in the storm water is when you get the Krim.
So since you bring it up, the section I just listened to, it doesn't come with the weeping.
Yeah, because that's not a storm. That's just rain.
Yeah. So that was interesting, because I guess at the battlefield they built pools. They basically where they're at, because they had to clean the sand, whatever. But they built like pools. They started to talk about the Great Lakes or whatever the hell it's called, and where the sitcom's going to be, right, at the Great Lakes. It's like a title for it too.
Yeah.
I think. But that, because I remember we talked about that, and that was kind of a piece of an answer. So, but it's interesting the amount of fucking work you'd have to do. I mean, you got to clean the gutters every time it rains, basically.
Yeah, it would suck.
Yeah,
that would suck. I would have been having to do that shit as a kid. It would have been daily chores.
Ugh. Oh, yeah, that would really blow. But you can make some money as a kid. Just go around the whole neighborhood and clean out gutters and make some cash, you know?
Rather
Make
be
some
poor
spheres.
than do that kind of work. Working
So
on
you're like-
roofs is not fun.
It's not fun, but neither was mowing grass, which is what I grew up doing. That sucked.
Mowing grass isn't as bad. Get on a roof, it gets pretty friggin' hot with them shingles.
True. But you could go the route of...
And I'm very unlikely to hurt myself mowing the grass versus falling off a roof.
Well, you don't fall off. What are you talking
I
about?
never did fall off, but that potential is much higher. I bet you the death rate of roofers is probably one of the more significant death rates for jobs. I bet you there's a lot of roofers that die.
I bet there's also a lot of roofers that go on disability. So not
Get
necessarily
hurt and shit,
fatalities,
yeah.
but yeah, get hurt. Yeah. I bet there's probably a lot more than landscaping problems.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we get, he looks and sees his mom. He's like, she noticed him and smiled, her cheeks flushed from the cold. With a narrow face, a bold chin, and full lips, she was a pretty woman. At least Cal thought so. Prettier than that baker's wife, for sure. That fucking uggo bitch. Talking shit about it, my dad.
It is great in Cal's chapters how he carries on the disdain.
Yeah.
Like he gets pissed
Yeah.
and he carries that shit on for a minute.
It's
And
like
then
holding
applies
on to it, even just like thinking like, hey, my mom, she's a prettier than that fucking ugly bitch. But yeah, then he tells her, everyone hates father. It's like, Kaladin, you're 13. You're old enough to know not to say foolish things like that. It's true, he said, stubbornly. I heard some women talking just now. They said that father stole the spheres from the Bright Lord Wistiow, and they say that father enjoys slicing people open and doing things that aren't natural. Why can't I speak like everyone else? Because it isn't proper. It's proper enough for Nana Terith. And what do you think of her? Cal hesitated. She's ignorant, and she likes to gossip about things she doesn't know anything about. Well then, if you wish to emulate her, I can obviously find no objection to that practice.
I like it.
Great.
Yeah, immediately makes me like this character.
Yeah, completely maneuvered him into sabotaging his own argument.
Yeah.
Which young kid there, man, he should have seen that coming from a mile away. I knew it was coming as soon as she said it.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, he's grimace. He's like, you gotta watch yourself around her. And then, he asks, why do people hate their father and his father? And it's basically like it's ignorance. Mm-hmm. And what he does is scary. Like, and it's also the fact that you're only going to this guy when you're in trouble, when you want to avoid this guy. Yeah. This is not the guy whose profession you want to be, showing up at his door for him to do anything. Does that mean something's gone wrong?
It's one of those extreme jobs, right? Where it's either, you save someone's life and they can be eternally grateful, any mistake, or you even save their life, but they have, every time it rains, their knee hurts. Like, that fucking doctor doesn't know what he's doing. You know what I mean?
Once they're safe and secure.
Yeah. Then it's
but
like,
you also have the
uncomfortable?
fact that like you could be
terrible.
You feel real grateful if a doctor saved your life, but like when you're sitting at home and you feel that pain and something's wrong and you're just like, I'm not going to the fucking doctor. Like you're even though like once you go there and you find out like you were about to die and he just saved your life, you feel grateful for that. But the whole reason you didn't go there in the first place is because you don't want to go to the stupid doctor.
Yeah. Why you got to call him stupid?
It's the not the doctor being stupid.
Act.
You don't want to go to the place where the doctor works. You don't want to go to the stupid hospital because it's intimidating. You feel like you're going to go there and you might die. And so even you got to go to war with your brain. Like, but if I don't go, I am going to die.
Oh yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. That's how my brain works.
It's kind of
my brain is like, I've had some severe pains where it's like, let's risk it. Let's see. Let's roll the dice. Let's see how it goes.
Well, I mean, it's kind of like, well, I haven't yet. So, odds are pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or I'm due. I guess you can go either way.
Yeah. It's not going to surprise me if I wait too long someday.
Well, it was worth it for all the previous occasions.
Saved me a lot of money, man, over in the long run. It's like, in the end, I come up on top, man. You don't understand the bills I would have had if I went to the doctor every time I felt a pain.
I had a ridiculous scenario like that where I let a finger get so infected, it just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger and purple and blue. And I just finally went, and the doctor treated me like shit because he thought I was such a fucking idiot.
I had a UTI once, urinary tract infection. It's the only one I've ever had. And everybody kept telling me that it will not go away on its own. You will have to go to the doctor, and you will have to get medicine. And I was like, we will see about that. And I suffered for like a long time before it finally took care of itself and went away.
Cranberry juice, right?
Drank a lot of cranberry juice. I didn't really do anything as far as like solving the problem. Made all my pee red.
Yeah, I remember that in the snow.
Yeah, and
I think somebody's pissing blood.
Yeah.
It's fucking nuts. See, that's what you miss out on when you live in Florida.
So
you don't get the snow anymore.
You don't get a piss in the snow. I don't even remember the last time I went and pissed outside. That was like a daily occurrence back when I was like 20 years old.
Yeah, that's a young man's game, I think.
Yeah.
Well, it also depends where you live, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I lived in a place where, I'm not pissing in front of people. If I was like pissing outside here, I'm going to be pissing in front of people where they're going to be like, dude, what the fuck's your problem?
Is this guy homeless? No, he lives right here. What are you doing?
Did you walk outside to go and pee in front of me?
Pretty much.
I like the wind on it. I like the feel. Feels good. But yeah, and then so she kind of explains it to him. And he's like, I think they hate him because he fails too often. There is that. If a glyph ward fails, you can blame it on the will of the Almighty. If your father fails, then it's his fault, or such is the perception. They'll never actually hate your father. He's too useful. But he'll never really be one of them. That's the price of being a surgeon. Having power over the lives of men is an uncomfortable responsibility. He starts talking about, like, what if I don't want that responsibility? What if I just want to be something normal, like a baker or a farmer? Or a soldier, he added in his mind. And, she's like, I think that you'll find the lives of beggars and farmers are not so enviable. At least they have friends, and so do you. What up to you? Love that. Like, that's a total mom response.
Yeah.
What about your brother? Like, that doesn't fucking count.
And it's kind of true. I did also like the inclusion of the reminder that he'd picked up a staff a few times in secret, and though he'd never been able to replicate that moment when he fought Jost, whatever, there was something invigorating about holding the weapon, something that drew him and excited him. Because we really got that really clearly, that it was like, whoa, this is what this dude's gonna do. Like, he's that into it.
Yeah, well, and also too, like she points out, when he's talking about, like, I want to be a baker, I want to be, a farmer or whatever, he's like, do you really want to act like those guys? Like, you've seen them and how they act. Do you really want to act like them? Do you want to go and give up your studies? Want to grow old before your time, weathered and furrowed by the sun? So, I mean, she hits him with the straight dope, where he's like, kind of got me there. It's like, grass is greener on the other side is the pitch she's giving him.
Yeah. Well, and it's also he's a kid, man, and this is very Sanderson does a very good job with these Cal chapters of writing him as a kid, because he struggles with the type of things kids struggle with. He's trying to figure out, what is it I want to do? Why am I being pushed in this direction? Because I might not want that. It's definitely the way I was. But then also, kids want to fit in, man. They don't like not fitting in, and it really bothers Cal here. Obviously, he wants to fit in, but then he kind of, I do definitely get the impression, knowing Kaladin, it wouldn't matter. It wouldn't matter what he was doing. He still wouldn't feel like he fits in. He'd still have problems. It wouldn't just be the grass is greener. It doesn't matter how green the fucking grass is. He'd be pissed off. He's just never going to be happy.
Not, well, he finds there's times when he's happy. It's just, he's gonna have to deal with depression. Is just
Yeah.
You know, that's part
he
of
seems...
who he is. There's times like and with what he's doing, he's putting himself in extremely high risk, high tension, high anxiety. Like that's not a good environment for someone who has problems with the depression. You don't want like
but it
put
also
yourself in that position. But he's not like entirely always unhappy. Always like he bounces from good mood to bad mood.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is I can't picture him laying on a raft on a lake and just being like, well, this is nice.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Like
it definitely doesn't seem like the type that's just going to relax.
No.
He needs to be doing something.
Yeah. And it's not just something. He can't just like build a car and be happy. He needs to like,
he needs to be helping people.
He needs to be like, and even then he's tortured. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, well, I don't know. I mean, obviously there could be some scenario where he's just kicking back.
There's other jobs where you can help people where they're not going to die on you if you don't crush it out of the park for them.
By the way, thinking about the sitcom, you could have a Kramer type character that is Kaladin, and he's just always super extreme.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what it is, he's flipping out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He's either flipping out that he's angry or he's flipping out that he's super sad about whatever's happening. He's always extreme emotion.
Super happy, and then he'll flip on a dime, be super sad 2 seconds later.
Yeah. I like it.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be a rough one. Really rough one to hang out with.
No, but I'm saying you may be
walking on eggshells everywhere you go. Like, oh man, he's in a good mood. Let's not fuck this up.
Well, and I like the idea that the littlest thing will fuck it all up.
Yeah.
You know, like just the littlest thing. He's like, see, can't have anything. And he just flips his shit.
Like, I love eggs. Eggs are my favorite. Oh, there's a fucking eggshell in it. Everything is ruined.
That's the problem with eggshells.
Yeah.
Right?
But yeah, and then so I also like the fact that when he brings up the fact that, the others think Father stole those spheres. They think he wrote out that order from Bright Lord Wistiow and had the old man sign it when he didn't know what he was doing. His mother was silent. I like this aspect of, because this pays off on the reread, you wouldn't notice when you're going through it the first time, you would more than likely think that they're full of shit. All the people who are saying this are full of shit. And you wouldn't think like her silence is because of guilt and she knows that they're right. And you wouldn't pick up on when he's like, I hate their lies and gossip. I hate them for making up things about us. Don't hate them, gal. They're good people. In this case, they're just repeating what they've heard. But she phrases that very carefully, where she doesn't say, they're repeating lies. She doesn't acknowledge that, that they're saying the truth either, but she just says it in a carefully constructed way.
She's also sticking to the script. I mean, what she's basically saying is like, look, man, they resent him because he doesn't fit in and he has this power over them. And she just kind of sticks with that. You know what I mean? Like, this would be natural. And that's why, you would also buy it in that context on the first read through is like, well, yeah, this all fits. They would feel like that. Oh, he has stuff too. Fucking guy can save our lives or kill us, and then he's got stuff. Fucking guy's got stuff. This is bullshit. I don't have stuff.
And also, like, she glances up, and while they're talking about this, like, glances up at the citylord's manor. Like, so she's feeling the guilt. And she wants, you could tell she probably wants to be honest with Cal, but she can't, doesn't want to tell him the truth that, they did steal it for his future. She doesn't want to put it on him. He's, young, somewhat young kid. It's like 13. And then Cal looks up at it and we find out like they're not letting him talk to Laurel. Like the last few times that he tried, he hadn't been allowed to see her. And like the nurse, and she's taken over. She didn't think it would be proper that for, him to be seeing her anymore. So they're kind of keeping Cal away.
Seems kind of mean. What's the deal?
Yeah. A little fucking little jerks. What's Cal? Cal's a good dude.
I'm not good enough for you.
Yeah.
Should be a lot of that. He's just standing at the door. You know what he should be doing?
You think you're better than me?
He should be doing the the move you've referenced a lot of times, where he holds that boom box up above his head.
Yeah.
What do you think he plays for old Laurel here?
He changes the lyrics and makes it "You're just a friend." Oh baby, you're somewhat okay.
He's got a remix of a Biz Marquee song that he records himself.
Yeah, he sings his own song. He's just playing an instrumental.
Oh man, I just realized somebody, somebody's done that. Absolutely, someone's done that. Someone's done the move, the John Cusack boombox above the head, but recorded their own song for that special one. And it's been the lamest fucking moment for someone else that got to hear that.
Then we get, Mother, Cal said, those spheres are just sitting there doing nothing. Can't we spend some to keep you from having to come out here and work? I like working, she said, scraping away again. Clears the head. Didn't you just tell me that I wouldn't like having to labor? My face furrowed before it's time, or something poetic like that. She hesitated, then laughed. Clever boy. Spun her own little trick back on her. Yeah. Used her words against her.
Yeah,
it's quick.
Yeah, very good, very good. Again, Sanderson is doing well writing for this kid, because that is also what kids do. They do not forget when they can use some shit against you.
Yeah. Oh, you use that against me? Wait, I'm saving that. I'm going to use that in like 30 seconds. First opportunity.
Even my 6-year-old gets me on shit where I'm like, yeah, that's pretty good. And you're right. Yeah. Yep. That's my bad. I apologize. I'm not perfect.
Yeah. And then, maybe they'd respect us more if we charged. And, they respect us. No, I don't think that is the problem. She looked down at Cal. We're second none. Sure, an accomplished young surgeon on the right rank could draw the attention of a poor and noble family, one who wished money and acclaim. It happens in the larger cities. That's why you encouraged me to play with Laurel so much. You wanted me to marry off to her, didn't you? There he goes. That's why you encouraged me to play with Laurel so much. You wanted to marry me off to her, didn't you? It was a possibility, his mother said, returning to her work. And I like that he's like, he wasn't sure how he felt about it. And we obviously saw him with her. Like this guy, he wasn't picking up on any clues. He's not, girls aren't on his mind yet. Not a big priority for him. Never seemed to be a big priority through the first 2 books. He's got like Shallan a little bit. It seems like he's got a crush on her, but he's not really spending a lot of time thinking about women.
No, he's really not. And I think Shallan is kind of the first where he's kind of having his nips blown off by just her as an individual is kind of blowing him away. But then also the fact that it's a woman that's able to do what she's doing, I think makes a big difference in his mind.
He's always just got so much on his mind weighing him down that he just is very preoccupied, and relationships does not seem a top priority for him.
I mean, he's very much steered by his emotions that he's just not in the moment,
No.
And so
Even
many times he's just agenda driven.
Friendship and those kind of things. It's just, he's got such, he's just constantly got the weight of the world on his shoulders, where he doesn't really think about like just letting loose a little bit and relax and having some fun with some friends, going after a girl. Like those are just things that just, they don't even creep up, because this guy is all about like, I'm going to save everybody. Going to make the world a better place for everybody. Which is noble, but it's not really healthy.
Yeah, he's kind of, he's similar to Dalinar in that sense, right? Very much duty, right?
Dalinar, though, will spend some time with Navani and, let loose a little bit, relax, go to the parties and those kind of go mingle and that kind of stuff. Even if it's not like his favorite thing to do, he still does do these kind of things and spends time with people, and he grows a relationship with Navani. Like, Kaladin's not doing that at all.
No, man, he's a tortured dude, man. He's like I said, he's always led by his emotions. Emotions tend to be quite negative. So he's driven for such a long period where he's just like, fuck all Light Eyes, and it's just like everything is fuck Light Eyes. And that's like where he's going for
though
a while.
he's not driven by revenge in a significant manner. He's usually, the drive for him is other people and helping. Like, I mean, that seems to be his motivating factor. Even like he has a lot of hatred and he has a lot of animosity towards people who have screwed him over, and he's developed it into a I hate all light eyes kind of mentality. But it's not like he's looking to hunt down light eyes and kill them. He's looking to save everybody. No. He even saves light eyes when he has to. Like, that seems to be his primary motivation, is to do good and do right. He's very much a character that is more concerned with doing right than getting revenge.
Well, I guess what I mean is, like, he white knuckles that hatred. Like when Shallan tries
100% he holds on to it. Yeah.
When Shallan is a great example is when Shallan tries to like open him up. Like, so what happened? And then, like, she basically tries to give him some credit and for why he feels the way he feels, whatever. And he's just like, you wouldn't understand. And then he's just like, I wish I could remember the exact wording of how she calls him out, because it's basically like, all right, so I'm the problem, but I'm not as good as I think I am, but I'm better than. It's like a lot of like, dude, you're really inconsistent with what you're trying to say here. And
well, he's being very childish.
Yeah. And it's kind of like, so you're just going to stick with this. It's completely illogical, and it's all just you're angry.
Yeah.
And she's so good at like pulling him apart, and then he just frustrates the shit out of him because nobody likes to be exposed like that. But he's totally exposed. And their relationship is so interesting to read because of how much they butt heads and how
that's a great section with them in the chasms together is a great section. They're in their banner back and forth in that book's pretty great.
Yeah. And then how she sort of sees him after, and how he sees her, and how we see it in their own minds. It's really interesting how that sort of evolves.
He gave him that Sam and Diane kind of back and forth.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, that's I guess that's a decent example.
But and then he talks about how his father had forced him into his studies, but in secret he spent time with the staff. So he's got that staff, keeps calling to him. He keeps practicing on it. And, what he should have done is with the staff is he should have went in and got into color guard.
Just swinging that thing around.
Yeah, spinning that fucking baton around. Became like a master baton spinner. And then he could have been like helping people with entertainment, halftime entertainment. Especially
getting into like their society and in terms of like the war camp, and he could have been slapping on that teddy and doing some flippy flips.
Well, in another alternate universe, Kaladin goes out like Adolin is having a match, and at halftime of the match, like Kaladin comes out there to entertain the crowd, and he's spinning his baton, flipping it around, like doing all his little moves, spinning around, dancing. He's got little streamer flags that he's running around with, doing those little moves with it. I could totally see that, and it makes sense for Kaladin, given his size and his physique, that he would be a real big color guard guy.
I thought it was going to lead to something other than no, he's just going to be at halftime doing his color guard thing.
Yeah, he just does that and dances and and enjoys his life. He's found something he loves to do.
Oh, so this is how he finds happiness.
Yeah, he's a happy person in this alternative universe. Even though, he'd be like, yeah, he could be a badass warrior. Yeah, but he's happy in the color guard.
So, okay. So, and then he can be their trainer, right? He prepares injuries, because those happen a lot, I'm sure.
Nah, that's a bad job for him. It's not. I keep him away from anything. Entertainment industry, making people happy. Good job for him. Something where someone might die on him. Bad job.
People happy. I mean, what if they're not impressed?
Oh yeah, like you don't watch when they come out and they're spinning batons, and you don't get like your nips blown off. Like, whoa.
When do I have a chance to see this? The Olympics?
Yeah, like the Olympics.
They don't have color guard at most sporting events. This is in high school. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, but don't you get on YouTube and watch the color guard competitions?
I love the assumption that that's what most people do. on a daily basis. They're just, whoa, what happened recently at the local
you
high
missed
school?
the national color guard championships this year?
Yes, I did. I missed them last year and every year prior.
Oh man,
Can you believe it?
you got forget Ozarks.
Oh,
You got some YouTube videos to watch.
A lot more exciting, huh, than Ozark?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. That first episode of the last episode I just watched had Illmatic all through it. That was pretty good.
But yeah, and so he keeps going through this battle, these two possible paths, the surgeon or the soldier, which again, they're both terrible paths for him. They're both terrible. And he's like, but it seemed to Cal that if he could fight, he could do something even more noble, protect their lands, like the great light-eyed heroes of the stories. He's just romanticizing the shit out of fighting and being a warrior.
Well, that makes sense. Like his world.
Yeah, he's a young kid.
That's what's done, right? Yeah, he's
most young kids, especially guys, tend to romanticize war and
that's especially fact
not
if it's
recognize how bad it is.
Well, and that's especially if it's romanticized to them because it was to me.
Yeah,
right? I mean, with movies and TV shows and like Band of Brothers and all that type of stuff that came out. Now, granted, they also did show some.
Band of Brothers
really
didn't
bad
so much
aspects.
romanticize it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some, but they showed some horrific elements to it.
Which is important.
I don't
That
watch
stuff
Band
needs
of
to be
Brothers and
balanced.
think like, yeah, I want to be in their shoes.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. That stuff definitely needs to be
Rambo,
balanced, for sure.
on the other hand, I'm like, yeah, let me get out there and one man this shit. Just put me one guy,
All it
send
needs
me
is a big
out
knife,
there.
right?
I'm taking out everybody.
Big knife, some rope. I don't really know the movie that well, to be
Or
honest.
what's the one where Charlie Sheen played the Rambo guy and he's like shooting an arrow that's got like a chicken on the
Hot Shots?
Hot Shots. He's like,
Hot Shots
they had
Part
the Rambo movie where he shot an arrow with like a rocket on the tip, and then so he shot an arrow, but it was the chicken. He just stretched the chicken out and shot it. They don't have they pretty much stopped doing those slapstick movies.
The wacky ones.
I haven't seen one. Yeah, like I think
think
it's
the
that like
Wayans-
scary movie franchise.
Yeah,
They overdid it.
Took it over, and then
They saturated that market.
Well, and it all got focused in one thing, which was like the scary movie thing, right? And then I don't know. I lost interest, I guess. But Naked Gun, Hot Shots, I mean, all that stuff kind of was coming after like Airplane.
Yeah,
like that's over the top slapstick stuff, which was freaking hilarious.
well, the slapsticks transition from like just original ideas to let's do a remake, basically like do a slapstick version of a popular movie.
Yeah,
and we'll just feed off of their franchise.
yeah, and that's what it became.
Yeah,
which is less interesting.
Yes.
Although, however, Hot Shots kind of was doing that anyway. It was a bunch of sketches.
Oh yeah,
that
100%. Yeah, they were exactly doing that. Yeah.
Yeah,
They were doing Top Gun and Rambo, and like they were mixing it up into a bunch of them. Yeah.
I wonder how that would hold up. I haven't seen those in such a long time.
They were so ridiculous. I loved them as a kid growing up.
Yeah.
I thought that shit was hilarious.
I remember the Naked Gun ones in particular really cracked me up, and I do remember liking the Hot Shots one, but that's so long ago.
Yeah. Leslie Nielsen?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was great. I loved Airplane. Airplane was a great movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't watched any of those in so long. I don't know if I still would be into slapstick comedy.
I think so. You know, I mean, you dropped a duty joke earlier, so thinking, I don't think you're too highbrow for this humor anymore.
No, I'm pretty sophisticated with the humor. As you can tell, it's like how many shit jokes we make each episode. Hey man, Doug loves the shit jokes.
I was gonna say we haven't brought him up. We hadn't brought Doug up yet.
I had the good one. I had the good one on Twitter. Like someone brought up Doug on Twitter to us, and so we were talking about him, and he asked like, would they have like something that kind of filters out the shit, or does it just like pool up in the shard plate?
In the boots. Yeah.
And you were talking about like how he would have to get in there and clean. get in there and get some real elbow grease on it.
What I was
and
saying
said
is,
Elhokar would be standing over him, sitting there singing, "He works hard for the money, so hard for the money." Doug just standing back, like, "Yeah, this motherfucker, man."
Dude, and again, why it's so funny to me is I love this idea that Elhokar just doesn't see that Doug hates it so much.
Yeah.
Doug's just like, "This motherfucker, dude." And he's just like, right? He's always elbowing him. Like, "Oh, man, he loves this." Oh,
Yeah.
Doug's the best.
Yeah, that's the funny aspect of it is him doing that and being oblivious and Doug not really being able to say anything because Elhokar's the king and you don't want to piss off the king.
Yep. And feeling like, but basically he could be killed because, I mean, he's not exactly high up the totem pole.
No.
The guy that cleans shit out of shard plate.
Yeah.
It's not really, just below royalty.
But yeah, and then so he thinks about, how would it feel like to marry someone like Laurel? He's like, he'd never be her equal. The children would have a chance to be lighter or dark-eyed, so his children might outrank him. He'd feel out of place. And he's like, and, there's another aspect of becoming a surgeon. If he chose that path, he would be choosing the life of his father, choosing to set himself apart, to be isolated. A lot of stupid societal issues come out of that light-eyed, dark-eyed bullshit.
Yeah. Also, it's really interesting that, and totally makes sense that Kaladin thinks about, what would it be like to marry her? These unfortunate things would happen.
Yeah.
Like, that's immediately where his mind goes. Yeah, I'd have kids, but I'd probably hate them.
Yeah. They might outrank me, and they'll hold it over me, and they'll talk shit every day. And then I got the staff. I'll probably smack them in the face with it. Laurel will get mad at me, cheat on me. I'm just seeing this is going down a real bad path.
He's like, you know what? I don't think I should do this.
Yeah.
That's immediately where his mind goes with any hypotheticals. Oh, what could this be like?
But then when he's trying to convince himself to join the war, it seems like is where his mind is going. Because then the next thought is like, but if he went to war, he would have a place. Maybe he could even do the nearly unthinkable, win a shard blade and become a true Light Eyes. Then he could marry Laurel and not have to be her inferior. Was that why she'd always encouraged him to become a soldier? Yeah, 100%. Yep.
I like how where his mind does go is like, well, I could do this and I could do the most difficult thing possible.
Yeah.
Of course, then,
like,
never mind, he makes it much more difficult for himself with his goals eventually. But
not thinking like, well, Laurel would respect me because I'll be a good man. My kids will respect me because I'm a good father. He's like, no, that's impossible. Impossible. Can't be done. I will be their inferior. They will hold it over my head. Life will suck.
All because
now, when shard plate, I could get that. Give me a stick. I'll find a hole in his armor.
Can't be that hard. I got this. I got
these great little spinny moves or catch things out of the air, turn, jack him right in the eye. I know I can get this done.
Jack him right in the eye. I picture that. It's like literally this dude that's unbeatable. He's like, ow, what the hell?
Yeah.
You just poke me in the eye? He just cuts his head off.
I give up. Throws the shard plate off and sword. I'm done with this. He keeps poking me in the eye over and over again. Enough. Bullshit. You're going to make me go blind.
I don't know. Eyes all scratchy the rest of the day.
It's not worth it. I don't need the shard plate that bad. But
annoys his way into shard plate.
Yeah. And he's that's
the key. That's the key that Sadeas is not aware of.
Sadeas just started poking the guys that he's fighting in the eye. They just give it up. Stop poking me in the eye. I'll give you the shard plate. If you want it that bad, it's not worth it to me. And he's like, how would my father react if I just up and went with recruiters? Cal wasn't certain he'd be able to face Lyran's disappointed eyes. Yeah, Liran does not take that well at all.
Yeah. He
immediately is like, I lost both my sons. They're both dead. That was his reaction to it.
Yeah. I mean, is it that much of, is the body count that high? That it's basically a death sentence?
It doesn't seem so, but it seems like there is a lot of, death in there and involved in it. And they're both young, so it'd be dangerous. You'd have to, they'd have to grow out of that and grow up and become competent soldiers. So while that's happening, they're going to be fighting inexperienced kids, fighting men.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know how many people they're running through. I mean, it can't be so many that they're just decimating the male population.
Well,
you can decimate a male population. Like World War One decimated the male population in Europe, but it didn't slow things down. Like their birth rate got right back up real quick because it doesn't take that many men.
Yeah.
As long as you don't decimate the women, you can make the men back up.
I question it, and I wonder because Liren does seem quite, I don't know, intelligent and kind of level-headed in terms of his approach in most cases, but then also, Kaladin's extreme, and he's his father, so maybe it doesn't, the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree type situation.
But yeah, and then the citylord gets there, and so they go all to meet him, and Liren lets him know, the new citylord's son, Liren, said, his breath puffing in the cold air. His name is Bright Lord Roshone. No time to change, I'm afraid. Not if we want to catch his first speech. Come on. I really like the groundwork he laid here with Roshone, because, to give you the reminder, I told you about what it had, and I went and looked it back up to get my memory right on exactly what happened. And so Roshone, he owned a bunch of silversmith shops in Kolinar. And so he was connected with Elhokar when Elhokar was a prince, was the prince when Gavilar was still king. And he became his confidant. And then he went and got Moash's grandparents put up on false charges. They were business rivals. They were also silversmiths. And so he got them thrown in jail. And then while they were sitting in prison, they died. They died waiting in prison for trial. And so then when Dalinar found out about it, he wanted to take away everything from Roshone. Take all his money, his title, and everything. Just strip him of everything. But then, politics got involved, and they ended up exiling him. And he even says, I exiled him, tells this to Kaladin, I exiled him to a place he couldn't do any more harm.
Wow. That's ironic.
Yeah. And so, and saying that specifically to Kaladin would be kind of a slap in the face.
Yeah. Unintentional, but
a
huge slap in the face.
Yeah. I mean, he obviously doesn't know what Roshone did. But yeah, and so, but that's why Roshone's there, which keep that in mind, because there's some of the things he didn't send word ahead. Liren said under his breath that could be a good sign. Hasina replied, maybe he doesn't feel the need to dote on him. That or he's inconsiderate. Stormfather, I hate getting a new landed. Always makes me feel like I'm throwing a handful of stones into a game of breakneck. Will we throw the queen or the tower? Sorry, buddy, you crapped out.
Yeah. He'll find out soon enough, right?
Yeah. And then they go, and she's like, don't listen to Liren. She tells Cal, don't listen to him. He's always got this negative outlook. It's like, well, there you go. Here's where you get it from.
Yeah.
And he's like, name one time. She's meeting my parents. Immediately, she throws out a one time at him. It's like, hopefully it doesn't go that bad.
Yeah. I don't know what the hell he did, but apparently it was
it's a funny little line. It's like, name one time. My parents. Oh shit. Man, hope it doesn't go that bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, and there's a crowd, and then you got Tien who's already there, jumping up and down. It's like, man, I wish I had half that boy's energy, Liren said. Excited to meet the man who's going to get him killed.
Yeah. Well, and I guess that the other, when you say, hopefully it doesn't go that bad, didn't go great.
No.
It doesn't go great. He gets, fucking a shout out, a very negative shout out in front of everybody.
Yeah. I like to, and it's like Tien scurried over, climbing atop the barrel. Several of the town's other boys noticed him, and they nudged one another, making some comment Cal couldn't hear. set the others laughing at Tien, and that immediately made Cal furious. Tien didn't deserve mockery just because he was a little small for his age. Bunch of jerks. Jerks.
I feel
what was
like,
it like for you
yeah.
as a little guy? Did you have to deal with like people making fun of you and poking fun?
No. I do feel like they're, I mean, are they really just making fun of him because he's little? I feel like there's got to be something else going on.
We don't find out about it, so I assume that's what it is. Because I mean, we're not going to find out if it was something else. Maybe it's his rocks. Yeah, there's a fucking rock boy.
But even that stuff,
Ooh, this rock is a special rock.
I guess it's because he dies. It's so young. It feels like whatever he does is added significance. So even with like the rocks, it almost feels like, yeah, maybe he saw something in them that other people don't see. I mean, clearly he did, but he's a kid, so you're also like, yeah, he maybe just likes rocks. But yeah, I don't know. It's I tend to look for significance in something that like that when the kid's snuffed out at such a young age. Could just be he's an origin story for Kaladin's tortured soul, which he is, but yeah, I guess.
And showing that protective nature that he has for Tien as well. I mean, he's about to risk his life for Tien, so you want to establish that he's a little protective of Tien, and it's a good way to do it. Showing him get furious at just a little bit of light mockery. And it's not like they're not even like calling him out, yelling things at him. They're just kind of laughing to themselves. Pricks, I mean, you'd see that stuff like in school, like the pricks who would pick on, other kids for no fucking reason. Where it's like, Jesus, dude, you guys are assholes. But
kids are assholes, that's for sure.
Yeah,
that definitely happens.
You're gonna run into a lot. I mean, mix them all together, you're gonna run into a number of them. But yeah, and then so Cal climbs up there and he's looking at the procession, and then you got Roshone coming in hot, man. He's big timing him. When in reality, he's not very wealthy. Like Kaladin talks about in the second book, when he's getting his money for being a guard, he's like, this is more money than what Roshone and my dad were fighting over. Like my 1 week salary. And so like the money that they were fighting over is really a pittance. I mean, it really puts like, cause he's looking at Roshone like, this dude's rich. Yeah, look how many men he's got. He's got all these 4 sleek black horses. Wistiel had only owned 1 horse, and it had seemed as old as he was. And he's like, could one man, even a light-eyes, own that much furniture? Where would he put it all? And there were people, too, dozens of them, riding in the wagons, walking in groups. There were also a dozen soldiers in gleaming breastplate and leather skirts. This light-eyes even had his own honor guard. And this is Roshone, who's been stripped down, and a lot of his wealth has been taken from him, to the point where he's fighting over less money than Kaladin's currently making, in a week or however long. And so Kaladin has moved way up and got much better perspective on how, how poor the area he grew up in was.
I was going to say, and it kind of shows us, because I need reminders of that, because sometimes I don't really realize that
he wasn't living a life of luxury like an Adolin would have been.
Yeah.
But he did not realize it either. I mean, he was living better than the other kids.
Yeah.
Wasn't working in the field, getting to work on, his education. But yeah, and then Cal grew increasingly excited as the carriage rolled slowly into place. Would he finally get to see a real light-eyed hero? Which is fucking great. Because who that guy is. And then the word around town claimed it was likely that the new citylord would be someone King Gavilar or High Prince Sadeas had promoted because he's distinguished himself in the wars to unite Elithkar. Nope. He had 2 old people thrown in the clink and sent there to die.
Yeah.
Left him there to die.
So this is a punishment rather than a promotion.
All because they were competing with him business-wise. He didn't like the competition. But his outfit seems pretty dope. He wore a ruffled violet coat tailored so that it was short at the front, reaching only to his waist, but long at the back. Beneath it was a golden Takama, a long straight skirt that went down to his calves. So this dude's wearing like a mullet shirt, you know, party in the front, business in the front, party in the back.
What I'm picturing, it's purple, but it's what Bugs Bunny wears when he conducts the orchestra.
Oh yeah, it keeps rolling up and hitting him in the face.
Yeah. Well, that's the collar, the back, you know, like it's that has the tails. So like I've never worn a jacket like that. I don't know who the hell wears it other than a conductor.
When I hear that, and he even talks about like the Takama looks like a woman's skirt. Like there is a trend a couple years ago. I've noticed it lately, but the girls were wearing dresses that were like skirts in the front, but a full length dress in the back. And like, I mean, I kept calling them mullet dresses. I was like asking my sister, I was like, you got one of them mullet dresses? She's like, mullet dresses? And then I showed her and she's like, oh shit, that's fucking hilarious. That was big for us. I was seeing them constantly.
I have not seen this. Huh. I did notice, something I have noticed is that a lot of women, what they've started to do, instead of showing the midsection, the midsection has raised. So the pants go higher, just above, like, or at the belly button. Mm-hmm. And then the shirt is up higher than it used to be.
Oh, right? Yeah.
So it used to be the cutoff. And the main thing is most girls can't wear a cutoff because they'd have that little muffin top showing, right? So instead, pull the pants up over the muffin top, have the shirt go a little bit higher, still show a midriff, right? Just a different.
Yeah, they're doing the 60-year-old man move.
They are, yeah, totally. And that's also part of the something I had noticed, and this is probably years now, but girls have started to wear like fucking mom jeans, or like when we were growing up, what basically look like 80s mom jeans.
Are you talking about like the high-waisted jeans?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. It's the high-waisted jeans led into. You can now show the midriff. You don't have to get in shape. Just pull the pants up. There you go.
That's one way to approach it. I mean, a lot of guys do that too. They like that. Pull their pants and try to cinch in their big belly. Does not work out for them though.
Well, that's a little different because they're not trying to get the midriff. They're tucking in the shirt. I don't know. I still don't understand.
Yeah, they think like that. I don't know. I would like to ask some of those guys. Like, I'm not gonna pick on them because you know it'd be mean to ask them in person. But I am curious. Why the hell would you do that? Like, why would you do that? Would you think that looks good? Do you think that's hiding your belly? Because that is not hiding your belly.
Here's the thing. Like, I'm completely unwilling to do something that would make me uncomfortable, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, there's all different.
Now, what
types
if they
of ways
came up with like a good reason? They're like, look, the options are I pull them up to my rib cage or my ass crack is hanging out. It's like, which do you prefer? And then it'd be like, well, hey, that's I appreciate your service, sir.
Well, a good counter question would be, do you need a new pair of pants?
Yeah,
is that what's happening here?
Someone needs to invent a pair of pants that allows you to not pull your pants up to your nipples and
I think
that covers your butt.
Pretty sure they exist. It's just a different size than what you presently own, sir. Jesus. But yeah, what I was saying is whatever, fashion is in or out, I don't give a fuck unless it's comfortable. If it's comfortable, I'll do it. If it's not comfortable, I ain't doing it. No. It's not worth it to me.
No, yeah, I'm not a big fashion guy. I'm sure people would be like, what the fuck you wear? Like talking shit. It's like all you do is wear t-shirts and jeans or shorts. Yep. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
T-shirt, basketball shorts, pretty much every day.
Yep.
That is my attire at this point. And now that I've moved to Florida, I basically wear sandals all the time. I don't even wear shoes much anymore. That's a new thing.
I can't do the sandals.
Well, I'm doing them now, bruh. So, get with it.
No, you get with it.
I am. That's the point. That's the point. I'm about to get myself some pants with an inseam that goes all the way up to my neck.
Yeah. Cinch this thing up about, like, I want, like, instead of pockets, give me armholes for my jeans.
how high can we take this?
Yeah. I want that fucking looping over my shoulders.
So you're basically wearing a onesie?
Yeah.
Is that what we're going for? A denim onesie?
Oh man. But yeah, then in Roshone, he like steps out, looks at the crowd, and then just shakes his head and turns around and climbs back in the carriage.
That's so great. He's being introduced
looks at him just like,
to this new place and just like, these guys suck.
You are all a waste of my time. Then it's like, Cal's dad, Lyran's like, Bright Lord Roshone. He's like, who spoke? It's like, Bright Lord, was your trip pleasant? Please, can we show you the town? What is your name? What is your name? Lyran, Bright Lord. Hey, Hearthstone Surgeon. Ah, Roshone said, you're the one who let old Wistiout die. Real good start. In a way, it's your fault I'm in this pitiful, miserable quarter of the kingdom. And he just grunts and then climbs back into the carriage and slams the door. It's like, nice. Well, this did not go well.
No.
It's not a good opening start to our relationship.
Introduction to your new leader comes out. I don't want to be here. I don't like you. You don't have to like me. Fuck you guys. And then goes back in his carriage.
Kaladin trying to rationalize it with his idealism. He sat down on his barrel. Well, he thought, I guess we could expect a warrior to be curt, right? The warriors from legend weren't necessarily the polite type. Skill in people and fancy talking didn't always go together. Old Jarrell had once told him. Lyran walked back, his expression troubled. Well, Hasina said, trying to sound cheerful, what do you think? Did we throw the queen or the tower? Neither. Oh? What did we throw instead? I'm not sure, he said, glancing over his shoulder. A pair and a trio, maybe. Let's go back home. And then he's like, Tian scratched his head in confusion, but the words weighed on Cal. The tower was 3 pairs in a game of breakneck. The queen was 2 trios. The first was an outright loss, the other an outright win. But a pair in a trio, that was called the butcher. Whether you won or not would depend on the other throws you made, and more importantly, on the throws of everyone else.
So they're waiting in the wings for...
Yeah, and he tries to play the game with him, and it ends up getting both his kids sent off into the war. Backfires big time on Lyran stealing this money.
Yeah, this is not a good scenario, obviously, this Roshone guy.
And then the first day at the war, the recruiter comes up to him, and it's G.I. Joe, and he's like, giving him and that's why you don't steal. And what is it? The more you know?
Yeah, the more you know, PSA.
Yeah. That's how it ends.
So that just bust in, like, did you get it, kids? That's why you don't steal. If you do steal, a lot of people you live with
except for G.I. Joe waits until Tian dies and Cal's holding his little brother and crying his eyes out, and then G.I. Joe steps up with and that's why your dad shouldn't have stole that money. The more you know.
Wow, how encouraging.
And knowing is half the battle.
Well, now I know. Can you bring me my brother's life back? No, it's not how this works.
No, that's the lesson you needed to learn.
Jesus. That's pretty extreme. I don't remember G.I. Joe being that extreme.
Gets a little hardcore when they get to Roshar.
It's just everything's a fatality.
Yeah, they teach all lessons. It's like an Arrested Development when they have that guy. Like, there's this guy he worked with had lost his hand and in some kind of accident had like a hook hand. And so like anytime they did anything, they forgot to put on the fridge that they needed more milk. So he would like drive, like we're driving to the store, and then this guy, he would hit him in the car, and then guys like blood squirting everywhere, and all the kids are screaming, and then the guy rolls down the window and he's like, and that's why you put a note when you run out of milk.
Some random person loses a hand?
Yeah. He's not actually losing his hand.
No,
it's just just terrifying the shit out of the kids to burn this memory into their head for the most mundane little fucking thing. Hilarious premise.
That is a great premise. That's really funny. I like it. Yeah.
So what do we got next episode? We will have Dalinar and Adolin. They're gonna go on to the Shattered Plains. It's gonna be some battle time.
Ooh.
Gonna get some Blackthorn. He's gonna get there, gonna get the call, and he's gonna decide, let's go do this. I need to show these people what's up.
Is that how he says it?
Yeah. Word for word.
Hmm.
All he's talking about is showing people what's up.
I got to show these people what's up. Doesn't sound like Dalinar.
Yeah, I'm surprised you missed it. You got to pay better attention. He says it all the time.
Yes.
Said it 3 times in the chapter we covered.
What if he did say, you know what? It's time to show these people what time it is.
Yeah.
He just had this whatever you call it, moniker that keeps getting repeated that's kind of cheesy. I mean, pretty good.
Yeah, he needs a catchphrase. That's what this series
there you
needs. Dalinar and Kaladin, all the big time characters, they need catchphrases. Kaladin, every time someone dies, like, did I do that? Does the Urkel.
The fuck? That didn't really fit the character too well.
Yeah, it does. Perfect catchphrase. You don't get Kaladin like I do.
Clearly not.
But yeah. So we'll be diving into that. I mean, that's a pretty long chapter too. That's probably all we'll get, if I remember right. I think it's like something like an hour-long chapter. We got a couple long chapters coming up. We got, let's see, yeah, next 3, 45 minutes, an hour, over an hour. So, but we should finish up part 2 in these next 3 episodes.
Right on.
But all right, so we'll be back in 2 weeks. So peace out.
Yep.